Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. Apologies on the delayed start here. Basically, what we had, Ryan will be joining us shortly, but I thought we may as well get kicked off. I was thinking of doing a show before I went to bed yesterday in Australia, which would have been about lunchtime, and waking up hoping there would be more news to talk about. And all we've really seen so far in recent time was an official announcement of Carlos Alcaraz's arrival at Everton is expected anytime now from Alan Myers. So, is it a big transfer window? No, not at all. Carlos Alcaraz would not be a terrible addition to the side, as we know he played for Southampton. He some of his strengths may be box to box midfield, which we've seen some success with recently in the likes of Tim Eric Burnham coming in, but at the same time, you've got someone that, yes, he's still young, so there's a lot of opportunity for him. But you're saying someone that basically couldn't hack it at Southampton, went to the Brazilian league, playing for Flamengo. Has played only started 8 matches this season and hasn't been utilized there. And you would really hope if this is a pick from David Moyes' limited selection pool that he knows how to get a lot out of the guy. And honestly, that's part of the challenge we have. um, yeah, and that's the challenge for us too, Peter. There's not a lot here to talk about, so if I like hearing the sound of my own voice, I will do so. What I'm trying to come up with until Ryan's able to join us is I'm going to go through the links we do have. The only two that really um oh there's three things that have came up recently, and but if there are players that you guys have found links to, I can also live interact. Go find the source on Twitter, talk to it, pull up their stats and some of their heat maps and what have you on SofaScore, and we can go that way. And I can also go through some of the high level transfer updates across the Premier League as well. Oh, so Peter is injured, and honestly, please take care of yourself, and that's for everyone out there. And injuries can really be a downer for yourself and put you in a bad place. So please just take care of yourself and look after your friends if they're in a similar spot. Um, but if Alcaraz joins us, and it seems like he's the most likely, in the last day they said he was coming to Goodison for a medical. It's seeming quite late and unnecessary to drag on at this point, but if they haven't announced it, maybe they're waiting to the last minute just because there's nothing else going on and making it seem like they were working frantically, typing up on the keyboards all the medical requirements. But let's be honest, a Premier League side should be able to get that together, and it shouldn't take 3 to 4 days. But maybe that's still the state of Everton. You'd think under Dad Freakin's leadership or kind of structure here, you'd expect to see more. But hey, that's where we're at. So Peter giving me content to talk to here. Truth be told, Moyes has admitted he doesn't always get it right with transfers, and his defense is only on loan, so we don't need to sign him if he's not good enough. I guess the question that I'm not too sure of, and I haven't seen the news there, has Oriol Mangala or Armando Broja, Jack Harrison, or Jesper Lindstrom technically off the books when it comes to loans? Because I haven't captured that, and I might just be late to the party here. I've had a few things going on in my own life, but unless one of our players is actually being cleared off, and it would make sense to the likes of Mangala, but then again, I haven't heard anything come through. If that's the case, look, a lone player is not the big risk here. What you really wanted to do is not, I'm hearing that number 33 million pounds of available kitty, but that's probably the maximum you could even spend. So without risk of being over on PSR, and maybe right now we're not trying to rush into transfers. And geez, look, what we have heard, which was quite interesting, was according to Miguel Delaney through X today, that Everton had come in for a 15 million pound offer for Tom Fellows, which honestly kind of insulting that it was that low, I suppose. But maybe that was the only way we were going to come in for it. And So Peter's saying that it was officially off the books from his ACL injury, which, Oro Mangala did a great job for us, all things considered. Yes, he was never going to be the going to be the one coming in with 10, 15 goals a season from midfield, but he did actually contribute. He had some strikes from outside the box that helped gain points for Everton. He was reliable on the ball, and honestly preferred him over Abdoulaye Doucouré and Peter Collins. We need to get some inside reporting. We need Peter Collins coming in to us live there from Finch Farm. He saw him on the grass, see him smiling, and then disappeared. So that's interesting. We're surprised we haven't heard an announcement if he's been there at Finch Farm at 2:30, knowing now it's what is the time now over in the UK? It must be getting close to it's 11:40 or 5:47 here, so maybe what are we talking 11:47 in the UK, something like that. So, and to Peter's point, I think Onana replaced Onana really well. Yes, what I think as well though, Onana in the form that he played for us in, yes, but there was an untapped potential that Onana was able to show this year so far, playing under a different manager on set plays and getting more involved in the box, and that's what you just never saw there. So 21:47, so only 9:47. Oh, so we've got a few hours to go on the for you guys there right before midnight. But yeah, got up early hoping to see something to talk about. There hasn't been a lot. Tom Fellows has fell through, and it sounds like there's a loan option for either Alcaraz or the other one that has come up, which is a little bit less founded, but it has been coming through, claiming the new Luca Dean or Luca Dean 2.0. It's the French left back from Stade Rennais. He had one cap for France, and at least from if I guess the funny part now is Mikalenko is actually starting to play well under Moyes. It seems of all players to get okay, we can build squad depth and everything else, but kind of funny if we use our lone spot for a left back instead of a midfielder or a striker right now. And Onyango has been recalled as well. Yep, I did see that. So thank you, Blue Stew. So he's been recalled, which is interesting because at the same time Onyango's been recalled, Harrison Armstrong is away. He has been extended on contract for 3 more years, but also out on loan. I have to go quickly check who that's with, but a little bit of a strange one that we have not really filled in the midfield replacement, and Harrison Armstrong has come in. But at the same time, what we haven't seen is David Moyes really play Armstrong yet. The last time we saw him was in the cup match against Peterborough when it was under transitional leadership with Baines and Coleman, and he did well there. But we haven't seen him in the getting many minutes in the Premier League. He's been on the bench, but it's a little strange to me if we can't afford to fill the bench with more than 2 goalkeepers that we're taking one of our bench options away. But if we can stay up, have a thinner bench, and develop him for next season, that's not a bad option as well, I suppose. But yeah, Tyler Onyango, why don't I look up how he's been doing after Blue Stew's comment? So I'll pull him up here and we'll start this. Chris Googles on the fly on the seat of his pants and see what happens. So I'm going to pull up Onyango and see how he did on his loan spell and see if Google accesses him and if my internet doesn't crash while we do it. So Tyler Onyango, and I'm going to react on my little share screen here. So a little bit less prepared of a slide. Let's see if we can get anything from him. So he was in League One, I believe, this season, and we look at his heat map there. I think he played for Stockport. So he's been playing, it looks like primarily on the right side, which is a little bit unexpected. We know we were having challenges figuring out where to best put him. He played against Salford in the preseason friendly and really did not look up to par there when he played paired up with Reece Welch. But it looks like he's played 7, started 4, getting good minutes in the games he is involved in. From an attacking perspective, no goals. Occasionally takes maybe a shot every 3 games. Missed a couple big chances. On the passing perspective, he got involved with an assist, which never hurts, especially if you're a taller player. Saying you knocked one in a penalty box scramble, maybe that's what it was there. In terms of accurate passing, 80%. Accuracy in your own half with less pressure, 89. In more of an offensive position, 64%. Defending, again, nothing incredible here, but 2 tackles a game, interceptions 0.3. But really, what I think is more interesting in these positions is looking at we have that potentially Onyango is more of a right back option based on how he was used in League One, which is quite surprising here. Or Stockport played even more defensively than Everton, which I highly doubt. But if they did, maybe he was a right midfielder. But we are missing a lot of wide options, as we know. And with Armstrong missing, now we have Jack Harrison, Illiman and Jai, I suppose Nathan Patterson, Ashley Young, and if we're really pulling into the bank, Roman Dixon. But really, I can't see him doing anything but getting time and experience at right back and only right back. Onyango is the new Fellaini. I don't. His hair would at least fit. And this was my observation when I watched him again against Salford, which, for all you know, was a really poor setup, kind of thrown in for 15 minutes, and just he wasn't. He didn't look prepared, and sometimes he just wasn't set up for that moment. But he's tall. He's got a good build on him, but it wasn't very much like the Leicester game with the centre halves that we watched, Wout Faes, and I'm forgetting the Scandinavian that played along with him, but sort of flat-footed, didn't have that momentary acceleration to kind of catch up against the runs of the opposition, and just looked a little flat-footed. So if that's what Onyango has from a defensive acumen, you don't want him in that spot. But yes, he's got a lovely afro, but maybe that's something I can't grow. Maybe Ryan can, being the wedding singer and all. But yeah, I think we're really not looking too adept at adding new players. What I will do now is I'll cover some of the updates from the Premier League more broadly, and as that pertains to Everton, because I think Ben Chilwell moved to Crystal Palace today as well. So at least that'll be something to look at there. Oh, we have Corey coming in. So feel free to jump in at any moment there, Corey. All I'm doing at the moment is trying to look at a few of the transfers that have gone on in the Premier League, which unfortunately means the Everton Ferguson deal is now off the table because he went over to West Ham, which does not exactly help Everton's cause for a last-minute striker. We also had Marcus Rashford moving on, at least temporarily, to Man United. And we have not Cole Palmer, that would be a bit crazy. Kelly leaving Newcastle to join Juventus. So no surprise there, trying to clear up some finances. And Asensio on loan. But let's see. Hello, Corey.
Good evening or good morning.
Good morning. I'm on my first coffee of the morning, so if I'm a bit slow, apologies.
It's okay, mate. You're probably never as slow as I am, so. So doesn't look like there's much movement, is there? I think Alcaraz will be the only one.
Yeah, that's it's inspiring, but honestly, right now, we're winning matches. We're playing well. I'm happy and proud for the team. Proud to be a Blue at the moment by how we're playing. It's not the end of the world that we don't sign someone if we can't afford to.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, it was a case of getting 2 in, a number 10 and a winger. Now, Alcaraz, although I don't know much about him, I've blocked that name out of my memory altogether. mainly because of Anthony Alcaraz under Martinez. But he can play number 10 a little bit. He can play a little bit out wide. He can play anywhere along the front four. But mainly he's a number 10 or attacking midfielder behind the striker. So I'm happy that we've got him in because I think we need that kind of player. The fact that it allows Harrison Armstrong to go out on loan, fantastic. Although I don't know if Derby County is the right team for him to go to. I would have just liked us to get like rapid pace out wide, whether it was a loan or what. But I guess it's a case of money permitting and wanting to do it to do everything in the summer if we can do. So look, I'm not going to be upset that we're not making too many signings. It is a little bit underwhelming, but I think it's more sensible than anything. And I think that's what we've missed with Everton. We've had excitement, but shit. Whereas now we'll have maybe a little bit more boring and done properly.
So I will, instead of responding directly with my thought, I will use Mark Hansen here. And an injury to Beto. And what happens? Yusuf Chimiti comes back and all hope is regained.
Well, I think is the news on Chimiti 4 to 5 weeks? I think they believe Brozier is it 6 weeks or something like that, and Calvert-Lewin roughly the same as well. So I understand the concern. Njai can play.
No setbacks possibly with an injury. That just never happens.
Yeah, well, I mean,
surely Chimiti, clearly not.
Chimiti can't have any more.
Evidence has proven it. Yeah, Chimiti I think is more likely to come back, but hoping for DCL and Brozier to not have an unforeseen. How could it possibly happen to those poor guys? It's always them. It can happen again. That's my worry.
I mean, if we get a winger, which is what I would have liked, someone with rapid pace, it does allow for Njai to play up top. So we can, I mean, I don't really want him because I do think having that space to run at and not playing with his back to goal is what's best for him. But we have got that flexibility. But I would have liked one more up front so you can rotate in. We might not have a number 9, but I think we need blistering pace. It's one thing that we do lack quite a bit. But anything else, it can certainly wait until the summer when we do the big rebuild, and we know what players, especially those who are out of contract, what players are going to or not going to be at the club going forward.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned that we may well do a buy, keep, extend show at a later point, but for right now, we're just hearing anything in the live feed of. Well, I've been browsing through Twitter quicker than Chris and Corey can, and according to breaking news from a random source, someone is linked. Let's go look at them. Until that little period's over here in the next couple hours, really, we're just saying, there's a lot of players that we want to see moved on. We've heard that Idrissa Gana Gueye may be extended, and it's once you're in the club, it makes sense to keep you, but it's not inspiring either. But Gana Gueye has earned the right to to stay on for a bit, but a little bit like an Ashley Young actually this year. You can say you don't like the guy or that you don't think he should be starting every match, and that's the truth. You need squad depth, and if some people are willing to get paid a reasonable professional salary, and reasonable is not to us but to them, saying okay, 80 grand a week, and all of a sudden you've just got someone steady in there that knows what to do, knows the Everton culture, and can do a job. You want a few of them, but your team can't be loaded with them. And I think that's been the frustration we've had. But at least in the midfield, we're getting some players in now. James Garner looked like is back. Almost feels like a new signing. I'm not gonna try and play Operation Blow Smoke and claim Everton did a great job signing James Garner because we didn't, not recently. But he's back. So we have him and Eric Bunham to kind of backfill Mangala. But what feels more desperate to me, and that's, and I'll respond to Wormy's point because we can say if anyone's injured, then we've got a problem. But that's not always the case in a lot of clubs, and injury breeds opportunity. You think Seamus Coleman and Leighton Baines when they were signed in 2007, 2008, 2009, that period. You know what? Baines was waiting in the wings and didn't get an opportunity for a while there. And then basically we needed to, and if there's an injury that happens to the likes of a Phil Neville or a Hibbert at that time, all of a sudden Seamus Coleman gets his debut. Or in the same case for, what's his name? this year with Spurs when we brought in
Roman
Dixon for a day. Yeah, so it's not always the end of the world. And we have a striker from the under 21s that hasn't been given a minute's opportunity, but you do not want to throw someone that has not played 1 minute in the Premier League into the firing line. I don't think the Everton fans would be on his case. It's not his fault, but you don't want to put someone that's not ready for it into that role and expecting too much of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we're stacked enough at the back. We've got Patterson, we've got Young. Patterson there's concerns obviously about the left back position, but again, it's a case of there's only so many loans you can do, and if we're buying players in January, are we going to be safe with the players that we've got? I think probably. It's hard to see us going down now, especially considering the gap between Leicester and Wolves. Never mind the gap between Leicester and us. They're gonna have to win almost as many games as they've already won this season in a third of it in half the time that they have done. So it's a case of ideally we need 2 more in my mind, the Alcaraz and 1 more. But the rest we can deal with. We can plug holes. Central midfield is okay with it. Boone back at section numbers than what we've had previously. At the back, Aberdeen's playing right back now, but he can play centre back. Keane is there. We know how we all feel about Keane, but if he's your 4th choice option, it's not the worst thing in the world. Patterson, so we have got just enough depth there, and I think considering where we are, there's enough there to get us through. And it's a case of, do we risk maybe the couple of mil we'll get for an extra 2-3 places up the table, compared to how much we'll spend on players that'll probably only be here for 18 months?
Yeah. So, Corey, if I told you there was breaking news right now, and that Neil Maupay had been recalled, sorry, I had to do it.
I've literally, as soon as you said Maupay, then I've just had to flick through my phones and make sure it wasn't true.
I could have been even ruder to you and really committed and taken everyone down there, but it just worth the effort. At first, I thought Mason Holgate would be funny, but that would be even less likely with 6 players. And what's more likely is Michael Keane gets striking options.
Yeah, I think he's a better striker than Neil Maupay ever has and ever will be. So although it sounds silly, I would probably rather play him there than Neil Maupay. I think he's shown that he's probably a better striker than Maupay is. Maupay's garbage. So answer me this then, my mates. In terms of Harrison Armstrong going out, what's your opinions on the loan for him? Number one, the level that he's gone to, the team that he's going into. Are you happy with it? Me personally, I'm not a massive fan of him going to Derby County. They're in terrible form at the moment. A lot of their fans aren't happy with the way they play football. So I don't know where he's going to get into the squad, and if it's going to be good for his development going to Derby County of all teams.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Derby County right now, and I might bring it up on the screen just so we can see how poorly they're doing as well. Because if it's anything like, I mean, we complain about Sean Dyche, but you know what? There's a lot of Sean Dyches out there in this world, especially at the lower levels, trying to, like, you're desperate to cling on instead of going down the league. So what happens if that kicks off the likes of Derby County? Because look at how they're doing. They're 22nd in the championship, and have lost their last at least 5 in a row, it looks like. So that's,
I think they've lost
a shocking setup.
I think they've lost about their last 8.
Yeah, that's just, and you know what? Harrison Armstrong can certainly make an impact there, but do you truly expect him to be that player for them, to just pick up, get them up the table? And you're like, no, that's you're not sending someone out on loan to build miracles. If they do, fantastic, but that's not what you should expect from anyone, should you?
No, certainly, especially a young lad being brought in like this. It'll be his first taste of league football, so it may be nice for him to see that combating side of it. Maybe that's what Moyes wants, is for him to go into a team where he's having to come in, he's having to do the hard yards and having to defend and maybe grow up a little bit more. But ideally, I'd like to see him in a team where, even if it was League One, where at the top end, where he's going to come in and he's going to be the focal point up top, and a lot of the ball is going to go through him. So he will still be targeted by your old school croc defenders, and he's going to have to learn to toughen up. But again, look, I'm not the one who gets paid big money to do it. So we will trust in either what Thelwell or Moyes have done. It's all we can do. But yeah, I think the way the team's playing, or the performances, the actual tactics that they play as well, I just don't know if it's the right place for him to go.
Yeah, and I haven't watched much of Paul Warne, the manager over there, but over at Pride Park. But if someone does know how he plays, let us know. I'm curious to. Is it simply just to get him?
It's defensive football. It's poor football.
Mm.
And a lot of the Derby fans they really don't like him. I think there's talks of him potentially leaving the club. So maybe they're aware of that, and he comes in and he play better football. But yeah, so as far as I'm aware, the Derby fans aren't happy with his tactics as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, honestly, that we're not seeing the likes of Everton players going to Roma on loan.
Yeah, I mean, Roma have been active in the transfer markets. I think they signed like 2 or 3 over the past like 48 hours, or they will have by the end of deadline day. So they've been active. They've been going for a lot of players, which are probably the type of players we're aiming for, the type of caliber. So I couldn't see any of our players going on loan to them. Would have maybe been us getting players from Roma, but they've been active in terms of them gaining players and did a higher caliber than what we've got at the moment.
Yeah. I'm just quickly looking at so Roma have brought in Victor Nelson, David Mastrantonio, and Pierluigi Giolini, and they moved on with Nikola Zalewski, Mario Hermosa, and David Mastrantonio. I cannot pronounce these to save myself, but then again, I'm not in Italy, so please don't judge too harshly.
So I mean, Mario Hermoso going, he would have wanted too many wages from us. He's centre back / left back, but he would have commanded too much wages for someone who's basically going to be second choice left back or third or fourth choice centre back when we've got Michael Keane. So that's not one that was ever going to get off the line. The rest of the players they wanted money for, I believe. So again, there would have been panic buys from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's probably not the best idea to go for players like that. Like I said, I'm pretty comfortable in the camp of we get by with what we've got pretty much, and do a proper. The whole point of what we're saying is one of the concerns for me was Moyes coming in and staying in long term. Well, if we're just panic buying players in January as well, we're just doing more of the same in terms of short termism. So yeah, I'm happy with us to wait till the summer and do a proper project. There's a load of players who can make that move in the summer. We give them plenty of time to gel, and they become tight knit together essentially instead of throwing them in and making them force their way into the club essentially.
Yeah, I almost feel like a third dip of Danjuma would have been interesting. Now that he's not under, he'd be under Moyes, not under under Sean Dyche. Would have been an interesting one. Not a Mope shout to try and troll you, but some of these players that basically didn't mind Everton but weren't given the chance because of the manager, or it's just negative flashbacks and memories for some of them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think Danjuma would have done a lot better under Moyes than he did under Dyche because he would have actually got a sniff, would have had a chance to play football a little bit more. But he'd also probably take that Njai role. So let's be honest, he's not getting in over Njai. Although this season, he's not
going on the right wing.
You are.
He could have gone on the right wing.
I don't know. The way he plays, he'd want to play. He'd be a good option to have up front, to be fair. Different kind of football. Probably play again in front of him like we do to Beto, but he's probably better on the ball. But I think he would take that Njai spot. So I'm happy that we've not got him, and I'm happy that Njai's instead. I mean, we love Njai, and he's probably our best player, isn't he? So
yeah,
it's, or at least this season, he's the one that gets you up bums off seats. And Danjuma, as good as he's been well this season, he's certainly not been as enigmatic as Njai has for us this season.
And I was never going to say he should be replacing Njai. I was solely saying someone that knows the deal, has signed the paperwork twice and accepted once. Yeah. So he knows exactly how to sign paperwork on short notice. He would be a prime candidate. Or the other option that I thought would have been really funny, by the way, imagine if the Friedkin group hadn't come in, and the only announcement we had is Dele Alli signs on a permanent deal, and you're like, no. But I'm so glad he moved on. No, but that would have been about the biggest disaster that could have happened, as we just signed Dele Alli and we're meant to be happy about it. So he's at least moved on and off the books as well. But
yeah, and that's the start of it, isn't it? So he's gone. He's off the books in the summer. Just a guy is going to stay. He's signed a contract.
he
Does
did get the
Doucouré
extension.
stay? Does yeah? It's been got confirmed. Not yesterday, day before. I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's before the Leicester game. Might have even been Friday that got announced. Doucouré, Keane, big wages off the books. Ashley Young, I reckon, is probably getting decent sized wages as well. On the concept of Doucouré, obviously based on he scored the goal against Leicester on the weekend. Another important goal, historic goal as well. So it's quite a big goal in terms of the history of the canon of Everton. How do you think?
Timely.
Yeah. How do you think he'll be remembered when he's left the club going forward? Because at the moment, obviously, we know the energy that he brings, but he's painful to watch because he really, really struggles technically on the ball. But the goal against, obviously, the run in last season, when Dyche first come in, Brighton, the goal against Bournemouth, of course, that kept us up. How do you think he'll be remembered? Let's say 3, 4, 5 years down the line, how do you reckon he's going to be remembered in the history of Everton? Do you reckon he's going to be fond? Do you reckon he's going to be folklore, or do you reckon he's just going to be one of them? Nah, he was crap.
Well, folklore. No one's going to build a statue of Abdoulaye Doucouré, or if it did, you'd have to try and capture someone that can build a Picasso painting, but will drop all the paints every other painting. Like he's all about instinct, and sometimes the instincts are off. But what really matters a bit, I mean, I don't want to compare him to Dyche, but I think it falls in this category. We needed someone when we had nothing. And when times are good, you look back at these painful periods and say, you know what? He helped.
Yeah.
And was he excellent? No, he's incredibly frustrating. At the start of last season, he just would pull up everyone's jersey and give away cheap penalties. And you're like, oh, so frustrating. But there's something you can count on, and it's his physicality and effort on the ball, chasing. To say he's fully engaged in the game and makes that impact where you say he's committed, that's tricky because sometimes that's just, I think he's been playing through a lot of injuries for us, but I don't think he actually lacks effort and drive. He's a very emotional player, and the likes of Harry Kane will tell you all about it.
Yeah, you know what? He's a bit of a narc, isn't he? I do think because of the goals that he scored, like he's popped up with some really big goals, really important times. I think, let's say, give it 4 or 5 years, he's going to be remembered a lot more fondly than he's spoken about at the moment, because we're seeing him week in, week out, and we're seeing that it's painful when he's on the ball sometimes. But when you look at it retrospectively, and you're not thinking in the moment that his dribbling and his passing is terrible, you think about them fantastic goals, the important goals that he scored for us. I think he's going to be remembered quite fondly. That's if he goes in the summer, because there's always the possibility that we decide that, look, it's too much change, trying to change so many players, trying to bring in 10, 11 players in the summer. He could end up staying for another year.
Yeah. I got a little distracted here with maybe we're getting some live Twitter commentary here. So if we have people outside of Finch Farm, this gives an interesting opportunity for us to go down the rabbit hole of players and links live. So thank you, Jacko. So Raquelme, if I understand correctly, would have been Raquelme would be Rodrigo Raquelme. I'm not sure if my leg is being pulled, but we may as well.
No, it's Juan Roman Riquelme used to play for the Argentine legend. He used to get linked with us every year.
I was plucking out an actual current player. So
you've had your leg.
Never trust the link.
Just like Ava Benega.
Well, I guess someone had to pull my leg, huh?
Farm on deadline day every year.
Wouldn't that be? But I think Arnold Danjuma, I'm going to remember almost as much as Abdoulaye Doucouré for other reasons. It'll just be like every year you have that fake rumor that never goes away.
Yeah,
Well, it's a bit like Willie Nonto, and yes,
yeah.
Jacko, well played.
And do you remember this one as well? For going to, have you got Whammy Spoons there, or then Wingy? Do you
Oh,
ever
what was
remember
it?
that one?
Was it Peter Odemwingie? No.
Yeah, Peter Wingy when he was at West Brom. Drove all the way. I can't even remember who he was trying to sign for. I think it might have been Spurs. Drove all the way there from training. Literally drove there on deadline day to sign. And he's going up. Obviously, they're doing the interview. The reporters outside, and he's
Mm-hmm.
literally turned up, like trying to force his way into the training ground to get signed. So we miss it now, don't we? These days, like proper deadline day. Everything's at our fingertips. I mean, because everyone's got in the nose and things like that, and Twitter and Reddit and things like that. We have the information at our fingertips, so you don't really get the opportunity for there to be that many like gazingas and breaking news there anymore. So it's a shame. We'll never get the Goodison the Finch Farm purple dildo anymore. If you remember that one.
I just remember, like, when I was just getting into Everton, I think it was called Blue Kipper. That was the one that I
Blue
got all
Kipper,
my
yeah, something
sources from.
fishy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something fishy. This would be really interesting. Ryan had something come up, so that's why we're covering here. But I think Ryan at Finch Farm will be like, I'm here with my professional microphone.
What's the bad accent that means?
Yeah. You didn't mind it, huh?
No. I've definitely heard worse. Definitely heard worse.
Well, why don't we try this?
Go on, give us an impression.
Hello, I can't do this right. This is Ryan coming to you here live.
Oh, sorry, mate. You lost it.
Yeah, when you're basically trying to do a Gollum, not getting your face on the microphone while talking, it's really hard to keep it together.
Are you saying Ryan is Gollum?
No, I'm trying to I was trying not to have my face on it, so his face would show up. So I was trying to talk up underneath my screen to the microphone, but it started looking like I was crawling over the microphone like some form of insect, But anyway.
Viewers, if you don't see Aussie Chris anymore on any more streams, you know why.
I thought showing the Barry Manilow photo was enough, but then you wanted me to speak, and I'm like, I have to be right next to the microphone. This isn't gonna work, Corey.
Oh, bloody hell. So, is there anyone in particular you think has probably won the transfer market Premier League wise?
Oh well,
obviously Villa have brought in a lot of players. I think they've been
yeah. I've got all the different. Oh, Villa have moved on a lot.
Yeah.
So Lewis Dobbin, interesting enough, is loaned out to Norwich. They've brought in Daniel Marlin from Dortmund.
Yeah.
Philogene is transferred out to Ipswich, as we know. Andres Garcia from Levante has come in. They moved off from Diego Carlos to Fenerbahce. Tommy O'Reilly, Kobe Moore have both moved on loan. They've recalled Yema Mosquera. They're doing a lot.
Yeah. Marcos Asensio from PSG.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to. I could show you the list up here if that's actually. Why don't we do that? That's probably cleaner than me just trying to pronounce everyone's name and butchering it, or trying to look like Ryan on TV. That won't work. So let's do that. Gonna remove the old one and add. So if we're looking at Aston Villa, they've done a bunch. So let's see if I can zoom in to make it a little clearer. So yeah, this is what Aston Villa have. So they've just gotten real busy. And John Duran went to Al Nassr, which is I think actually shocking, surprising that they would be willing to move on from him. Or he just wanted first team football and wasn't getting it and just decided, you know what, give me some money and I'll figure it out later. That's tragic to me.
But the thing
Duran,
is, I mean,
at this time of his career, moved on.
He's essentially he's a second string striker, isn't he? So So, I mean, look, if you're getting offered over £60 million for your second string striker, you're not going to turn it down. As good as he looked, you know what I mean? He didn't his numbers are fantastic. Is he going to be as consistent and do much for the team as Ollie Watkins does? So is he going to get in ahead of him? We don't know. 60 odd million when you could fill in other positions is fantastic bit of business, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford potentially could do the job that Jan Duran does. They're allowed to pick up in other places. So Philogene, who wasn't getting in the team and struggling, Marco Asensio will come in and potentially play cover that position. He's got experience at the highest level. He'll probably help him with the Champions League as well, with the experience that he's got there. So they're probably looking at it more in terms of the experience and going, look, they're flipping Philogene and they're flipping Duran for good money. So
and they're bringing in Rashford to beef up the squad.
Like, exactly. So they're getting a lot more experience within that squad, which in the last stage of the season can iron out wins, but also specifically in the Champions League, because they're going to want to do well there and get that Champions League payday.
To me, this is probably even more of a PSR compliance challenge, honestly, because bringing in Rashford, but that's what's funny. Rashford is on high wages, more than Duran, but they also get the transfer fee. Well, Ryan, it's
hello.
Hello. Ryan's upset with too many Twitter followers, but that's where everyone's looking right now. We're waiting for results. We're waiting for leaks and links. We were actually expecting you at Finch Farm. Prince Rupert was expecting you with your brand new microphone to be outside the ground, saying that he saw someone with a limp and recognized whose limp that was. And remember how Bukayo Saka had that injury and they were trying to figure out if he was playing or not, and they were judging the shoe type. And the Fantasy Premier League people were going nuts. I was expecting that out of you, Ryan.
That would be so funny if I was outside Finch Farm now with the torch. But they probably wouldn't let me near. Nothing's happening, is it? Nothing's happening. And to be honest, David Moyes made it, the way he came across in his press conference, his demeanor, the things he was saying, it was so obvious that we were going to be led up this garden path. And basically what they'll do is they'll hold off on I said this days ago, they'll hold off on the Alcaraz announcement to make you feel really desperate. Oh, what's happened to Alcaraz? Because people are so fucking thick and fickle.
Yeah.
What's happening to Alcaraz? Oh, he's not happening, is he? And then all of a sudden, 10 to midnight, Alcaraz is signed. Yay! Everyone's relieved. No, you've had the wool pulled over you. We knew we were getting him. It's the others we weren't getting. Oh,
but could you imagine, Ryan, if Dele Alli hadn't signed and he could have come in last minute as the signing to make him permanent?
Oh, you know what? I'm not happy about this window. I'm sorry to say, I'm going to be dead negative. I'm going to be negative about this because the 11th place is there for the taking. We could finish higher in the league. The benefits of that are more credibility in the transfer market at the end of the season. If you finish 11th composed to 16th, you give yourself credibility when you're convincing players.
Yeah, well, it's 3.5 million per spot, isn't it? Somewhere around that. So that's
the next
5-6 spots. Yeah.
Yeah, you can make 15 million plus. You can make more money. TV revenue, sponsorship deals improve by finishing higher. You're more marketable as a club. So there's 3 reasons. Fan morale. Goodison deserves to be sent off in a style. We deserve to watch some good football. So I think we should have spent some money and signed some players. I think we should have maybe paid £5 million more for it. I think we should have gone and tried to get someone and taken a chance because I trust David Moyes. But I know there's a lot of fans who think we're safe. You guys, you're naive if you think we're safe. This team has proven that they can go weeks without scoring, go weeks without winning games. I'm not asking us to waste money. I'm not asking you to piss it up. I'm just saying, where was the plan? Where was the list of names of players coming into the window? And why are we leaving it till a month in to make these stupid bids for Tom Fellows when they're not going to sell that late in the window, the best player, are they?
It's not for 15 mil, no.
To me, it's just insanity. And I'm frustrated because you've make more money, more credibility in the transfer market, fan morale. The places are there for the taking. The standard of the league is atrocious, but there you are. We're going to end up with Carlos Alcaraz, who's going to play as probably in that Doucouré position, tucking in alongside Ndai. And the formation that Everton play now is 3 at the back without the ball, 2 in front. So there's 2 holding midfielders. And then I believe there's 3 players behind, 3 at the back, the one of the wing backs, Mikalenko pushes on high and wide, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Lindstrom pushes on high and wide, and then you've got. Am I
getting close to the striker, and you
Njai tucks in to give Mikalenko his free roam on the left, is what you're really saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Njai is the inside left forward. Lindstrom is a right winger. You have a flat back three in possession, and you have a number 10 and then two holding midfielders.
It's like a 3-4-2-1. Ndai and Doucouré centrally close to Beto, so he's not isolated. Mikalenko and Lindstrom high and wide. Garnett and Holding, and then the back three.
Mm-hmm.
So you can argue priority to really go to the next level there is your fullbacks and your inside striker behind Beto to replace Doucouré. But it is what it is. Frustrating. It's just typical, isn't it? It's just frustrating. I want more. I demand more, but a lot of fans just accept that this is where we're at. And
I understand where you're coming from, especially in terms of giving Goodison the send-off that it needs. But I do agree to an extent with Jacko there is that it's maybe a case of we're not looked. We could gain another 15 million in terms of, let's say, an extra 4 or 5 spaces, but we could get a player that's available in January that we maybe don't really want, when in the summer someone who is a lot better and maybe a lot more suited for what we've got comes available as well. So just to give you an idea, so the left back that we were linked with, he potentially would have been available.
Adrian Truffel.
Would have been available in January, but he's not fantastic. It would have been another body in, but we'd have been stuck with him. He's okay defensively.
He was linked with Man U and Liverpool.
Yeah,
very solid. He's been capped by France now. He's breaking through.
But I mean, if you look at his stats and if you watch him, he's not very attacking. He's a solid defender. He'd been brought in by them to play number 2. He's a solid defender, and that's what we've already got. I think in Mikalenko he's not great going forward. He's not technically, he's not amazing like that, but defensively he can be solid. So what we need is a proper left back who's more of a wing back, who's going to get on the ball, who's going to get forward. I know I always park on about him, and Chris is probably sick of me talking about the Kuiper at Bruges. And it's players like that where they might not be available now because the likes of Bruges are in the Champions League and they're going to keep him till the summer, and they can really cash in on him. So,
why have we not got players that do improve us, that we've been speaking to agents of for 3 months? Or why are we just so incapable of... How are you not even why do they always have to be transfer listed? Why can't we go, oh, we've watched him, we like him, we're going to bid for him?
It might just be a case of, again, waiting for the right time, so it's better value for money, or the players that are in the Champions League, the teams in the Champions League aren't going to be wanting to sell them players at that time. You're going to have to throw ridiculous, silly money at them or settle for lesser players. And I think that's what Moyes said, is the players that we ideally want aren't available now. So if we do get players, it's players that we wouldn't go for typically. And I think that's what they're referring to, is weighing the pros and the cons and saying, well, we could do with the left back, yeah, but maybe the left back that we want and the one that we're not settling with and we're not going to be stuck with is the one we get in the summer. Same with maybe up front. The January transfer window was terrible for trying to buy a striker, and no one wants to let their top striker go in the middle of the season, do they? Especially this late.
Not this late in the window.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of case of that. I do think, I'd said at the start of the window, I think I'd be really disappointed if we didn't get a number 10 in, because number 10s are, even if they're not ridiculously exceptional, getting a cheap number 10 in on loan, you can easily get someone like that in now. We get Alcaraz, sound, he's not who I would have gone for, but he seems like I'd take that. That's one body in the door. And the other one, which again, a 10 a dozen, you might not get the most technical player or the best player altogether, but you can get, and there's plenty of players out there who are absolutely rapid. I mean, we got the Marty Gray for $500,000 and a pack of spuds. So I think even then, if you're trying to be cheap and budget till the summer, we have missed out on maybe getting a striker in. And if we didn't have them injuries,
if Beto gets injured, we're fucked.
Yeah, if we didn't have them injuries, I don't think we'd have been as bothered about a striker. But I understand where you're coming from in regards to getting a striker up front. But I do think that I'm willing to take a gamble on that.
There's no excuses for me.
You are.
So
there's no excuses for me that we haven't had players in I'm sorry. We've known a long time that we needed players.
And we have the Friedkin group, by the way, who are so thoroughly engaged in. We're making a difference here. We're doing.
That's good.
We're gonna be cutthroat. We're gonna make decisions. And is it the same old Everton, Jan, or is it a new era and it's just underwhelming to get us going?
Sorry. I think that some people, forgive me for what I might have missed in the preceding hour, but I think some people, maybe, not going to name names, maybe a little bit deluded, right? I'm just going to say, because Moyes was honest. We can pick these apart. Moyes was honest. We've known that Dyche wasn't getting a tune out of these players, and we've said that these players are better than this. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with this? We've searched for answers. Moyes has scored more goals and got more points in since he's been here in the last few games than we've been struggling to get, and we've pissed away goal leads. Yes, sure, Dyche was defensively great. Now let's talk about let's not talk about too much stuff, but PSR did fuck us, and people are talking about, well, we've got money in and we've got new owners, but look. If you want to actually talk some sense for a minute, accountant periods, year periods, and attributing on the books as revenue and having it off as then you have to offset things and then account for those. So it's part of a rolling thing in different football years. So you can't start using this money that's earmarked when it then has to be accounted, because it's just so frustrating, right? So when Moyes is talking about not being able to get players in and he's hamstrung and he might not get the ones that we want, well, is it demoralizing for players, or are we going to blame Thelwell? Maybe it turns out that Thelwell wasn't or hasn't been that bad, and he's got players who Dyche didn't get a tune out of. He was incapable, and we got rid. He came to save us. That's all he's good at. Possibly we couldn't overreach with that. Why aren't the players playing to his tactics? Because he didn't have tactics. He was inflexible, and it was just about saving a sinking ship. He didn't bring players on. He didn't give youth players a chance. The young players that we brought in, he chose fucking Ashley Young over Patterson, despite all this and that. And we had Slapgate, and I mean, what? Because what? I'm a Scottish international, mate. Why are you not playing me? Please, let's get a chance. No, we need to steady the ship. 0-0. Park the butt, or I don't know, rant.
It's good, Jan. Thank you.
No, but I get your point. Is that we're concerned about if we don't sign anyone, are we going to fall off a cliff still? Because are we going to be safe? But what you're essentially trying to say is we were doing so bad under Dyche, is that the change in performance now under Moyes, it would suggest that with the squad that we've got, because no one else is really strengthening as well, we should really have enough to carry on this form, whether it's to the same extent, but at least be more than enough to be more than comfortable for the rest of the season. So I think that's essentially what Jan's getting at, is that we've got enough about us, and that's why potentially you're willing to kind of risk it and delay it till the summer, till we go balls to the wall and rip it up and start again, kind of thing with players.
I mean, look, think of it this way. People, I don't know what recognised strikers. Okay, how long is DCL out for? Chamiti might come back. Look, Beto could do the job just for a few months, and he might decide, you know what, I've got an opportunity here to be temporarily the first choice striker, even if it just boosts his value and he gets to go back to Italy or Portugal or wherever he wants to go, because we're looking for someone of a caliber that we've decided he isn't. I'll give him a go if he's willing to fight like he has done.
Yeah,
we don't need to spend money. We've got points.
I'm pro. I am pro Beto. I'm going to be honest. I think if you give him the chances, he'll score them in a way that Dominic Calvert-Lewin won't. And one of the issues we've had is we've not played with strength, even under Dyche. But Moyes in the game against Leicester, he's shown that he's going to play the ball in behind. So hopefully, if we play like that, fantastic. Look, against the likes of Liverpool, we're maybe not going to see that as much, because we would probably need someone who's going to hold it up. So next week, maybe watch from behind the sofa. But
there's a word for what Beto is and why he probably wasn't played, if my conjecture about Dyche is right. Unpolished. And obviously Dyche then, if that's the mentality that he has, where he's relegation, steady the ship, don't try this, don't try that, he's not going to bother to our detriment potentially, but he's going to do a Lampard to Keane potentially. Maybe he did that to Pat. Maybe Dyche did it to Patterson. Maybe he's done it to some players where we're going, why haven't we at least seen the youngsters? Not to have a go at players that potentially, they've been through a lot, as Moyes said, which we've all agreed. But I mean, the youngsters we haven't seen anyway. And yeah, all right, I don't want to monopolize it, but he's unpolished. And so you're right, he's not going to have that necessarily. He's going to have the rawness because he only went professional at a late age, but he might not have the ability to do the finer things, because a couple of times he's taken shots when he should have passed. And in that game against Leicester, he passed when he should have shot. It was quite frustrating, but good.
So we for Jan and Ryan, you both came on a little bit later on, but we did talk about that I think is very poignant to this. Harrison Armstrong has a 3-year extension, but he's also loaned out to basically a Dyche setup in the bottom of the Championship where he may not even get time minutes, and we need players in the Everton squad, and he hasn't gotten minutes under Moyes yet. So curious to how you see the Armstrong situation forming.
Me or Ryan?
Either of you.
Well, I think he's Armstrong's a box-to-box player from what I've seen, with a lot of technical quality and can pick a nice pass. And I think it's a good move for him. I absolutely think he should be going on loan. He is very young. And all that says is that the Charlie Alcaraz deal is done, or all but done. And he will kind of be that player that would fulfill Harrison Armstrong's place in the team.
Or we've got Garner Gay and Doucouré and potentially James Garner if need be.
And Eric Boonham.
It's not a lot of players, though.
No, it's not. But no, it's not. But if you look at the context, right, when you look at what's going on at the time, do you think it's better? Right, okay, so with Charlie Alcaraz is coming in, but do you not think it's better to not rely on a youngster, but to put him out and hopefully get some regular subs or first team appearance with the nitty gritty and fundamentals? Because I could see the potential that he could come back in 6, 12, 18 months time and possibly be integrated into the squad, because otherwise we would have sold him with the other raft of youngsters when we were cutting down our wage bill, wouldn't we? Maybe I'm just guessing too much here, but you know what I'm trying to say? Because we shipped a load out. Why not more?
I think you need six midfielders. And you've got Garner, Tim, Ghana, Doucouré. That's only 4.
But then you'd have Alcaraz and McNeil when he's back, probably. It's a case of without.
I think he's going to get rid of McNeil in the summer. I don't see him. I don't think he's got a long-term future.
I don't think you.
I don't think he's a Moyes player.
Yeah, I don't think you're totally away from that, to be honest, mate. I can see that happening as well when he comes back and maybe not getting a game, because at the start of the season, his individual numbers were good, but the balance of the team was completely off. He's not got the pace to play out wide. He's too one-footed.
Is this Harrison? Sorry.
No, Dwight McNeil.
Yeah.
So his individual numbers are fantastic, but if we get another set piece specialist in, then
he's the kind of player that needs players around him, like a youngster that's going to cause trouble. Like for instance at Burnley when they had the tough men. Do you know what I mean? He had a kind of a role, but now he's expected. I don't know. Maybe that's my take.
A bit like a James Ward-Prowse that has an excellent delivery, but just doesn't have the pace to take on the game himself. So he's a great asset, but he's not going to make or break the team.
Or like Jack Harrison, that seems like every day he's going to come on and you go, no, today's going to be the day he's going to step it up and he's going to beat a man and do brilliant and whip in a load of crosses. And every time it's so frustrating because I just want the lad to come good.
I think he's going to end up, we should have returned him. I think McNeil will probably end up as an option for left wing back in games where we need to attack a little bit more, because the way Everton are playing at the moment with the 3 central defenders and the 2 in front, there's so much cover for the wings when we lose the ball. The midfielders have basically got, they can drift wide and cover when the fullbacks bomb on. But I don't see McNeil as a player long term for David Moyes for the reasons Corey explained. I also think there's quite a few like that won't have a long term future, but he'll use them if they come back. I just think we're so desperate. If Alcaraz comes in, you've got 5 players there who can play in the midfield for 3 positions. I still think that's really light. And then
I don't think they fit into the Moyes style of play though, because even when he was at West Ham, what's his name? Bowen. Was it Bowen?
Jared Bowen.
Yeah. You could in some kind of way equate loosely, oh, he was the most McNeil kind of player at West Ham. Do you see what I'm trying to say there?
I
don't
don't
know,
think
because I
he's that
think Jared
McNeil
Bowen's
like
a
at all.
he's a very, very good player. He's technically he's a million times better than what McNeil is. He's good with both feet.
But that's
Bowen
what I'm
can be
trying
a
to say
false
is
nine, like the old Cahill in a way. Like,
Yeah,
but that's what I'm trying to say is that when you look at West Ham's other style, like other players and how he set them up there, he wasn't going for that Burnley, Stoke, what Everton were becoming feel, and that's why McNeil. I don't know. Maybe there is a place for him, but he just relies on too many other different changes in the Everton first team that aren't viable or possible. But to be fair, we've got some good comments here. Sorry if I'm pissing people off on me rants, but Blue Nose Dublin, by the way, right? It is right though. We've got a threadbare squad. So as I think as I was sat in the back room, Ryan was talking about loans. So what has? Wait, hang on, no. James Vaughan is our loans pathway bloke, so that means the guy going, the loans going out. So who's responsible for getting the loans in? Is it Thelwell as well?
yeah. It'd just be because that'd be first team transfers, wouldn't it? The pathway one is purely mainly for youth players, so it'd be first team. It'd be Thelwell. So, but I think we've got 4 centre backs. I know one of them plays right back at the moment, but any position, if you lose 2 midfielders, you're tanked. You know what I mean?
we're not Spurs, but we're just tanked. Yeah.
I think we've got cover right back, left back, centre back, in goal, central midfield.
Let's not forget, in a pinch, Coleman can possibly cover right back, can't he? Possibly.
Yeah,
and Ashley Young can cover right back too.
We've got cover. We haven't got quality. There's a difference. We'll discuss quality another time. That's for the summer, because I think we'll spend massive sums in the summer. I think there'll be 150 million spent at least. I think there is covering the fullback positions at centre half and in goal and deep line midfield. I just don't think we've got the options in the front 3 positions. If Indai gets injured, if Beto gets injured, and if Beto just goes on another run, because I don't think teams are going to give you that kind of space. I just want to show one thing on the screen, if that's okay. We brought up before the VIP system. How does that work? I'm just showing this. It's a screenshot of Follow Everton. If you become a VIP now, I've put a little highlighted section that you can see along the middle where it says our members, and these are all the special people who've contributed. Actually, Aussie Chris, I can actually see your little.
Do you know what's even better as well is if you can encourage, right? If we can get to that 3,000, I mean,
we've done it.
Close to 1,000 viewers. We've done it. Oh, awesome! I'm behind the times, right? But I was going to say, Ryan is so desperate to switch platforms to one where they integrate this chat, all you guys, the comments here, where it actually comes up on the screen with all of us at the same time, because it's like whole immersive, and there's other features that we could get in. Like, I'd love one where it's a countdown to kick off. Oh, great, you've got me back.
Yeah, we could do it all. We can do it all, but we need more VIPs. We need more funding. But
I feel dirty. Stop that, Ryan.
Or add revenue through subscriptions.
Look, Follow Everton, 3,000 subscribers. Thanks to all watching. There's 1,000 of you watching, almost 993 to be precise. And I don't know why a lot of you like watching on X. I appreciate it anyway. But if you've got 2 minutes of your time to support us, what you can do along the bottom, you can go to youtube.com/Follow Everton and subscribe over on YouTube, please. If every single one of you watching on X was a subscriber, we'd hit 4,000 subs on this video. Come on and do that for us. And search for @Follow Everton on your YouTube mobile devices. And the VIPs, you should see on the desktop an option to join. So where it says Follow Everton, Everton Fan TV, the description, you can subscribe. But if you want to take it a step further and actually support us,
Matthias Tell looks like he's going to Spurs.
You can click join, and you'll also show along that little banner. So we've got a few pictures there. I can see Richo. I can see Aussie Chris. I can see Dan. Dave Gounder as well, and I think that's Becky Hillary. So yeah, that's great.
You're one of our number 1 fans over there, that Becky.
Thank you.
And you're welcome, Ryan. Becky.
We do have breaking transfer news, but in case don't want to get your hopes up, it's nothing to do with Everton. Matthias Tell, or Mathis Tell, sorry, has completed his medical for Spurs. So it would be rather interesting to see. Look, if you'd have told me at the start of the season there's a very realistic chance we could finish above Spurs and United, I would have thought you were bonkers.
But they've brought in players. They've improved the squad.
Yeah, but they need to improve the manager.
So, do you want me to go over any of the highlights from the Man United transfers in?
Just looking at
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to
Willian.
see what our competition is like.
Thanks,
Our
Rich.
competition.
Yeah, thanks, Rich Jackson, lad.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Rich. You can still watch us on X whenever, mate, of course, but just helps us with the numbers, algorithm, and all that. It's all about numbers. Oh,
Did you boot Corey? That's not. That wasn't very nice.
No, I didn't
Was he-
boot him. He said he's deleted his mic or camera.
Huh.
Not sure what it was.
So this here was
What's
the
going on at
the main
Forest Green?
Forest
Sorry.
Green. Did they decide to disband because their organic squad is having issues?
I don't know. Yeah, it was an organic decision. Who knows? It's the wheels have really gone
It's
off.
great.
They've fallen off there, haven't they? I'm just looking.
So this
Any
is-
I'm just searching for any mention of Everton, really.
Well, we were in for Dewsbury
news
Hall,
is there
but
is
we
no
had to
news.
send back Brozier, but we would have to pay Chelsea £2 million.
But that's not that much. We can afford 2 million. We just can't afford a 30 million pound transfer fee.
But how badly do you need Dewsbury Hall? I mean, I looked at his stats. He did score 12 goals in the Championship last season, but his overall record is kind of like a non-event. He's good
Okay,
at
would you
pressing. but
Okay, so
but
if
when you
you
look at
have
it like that-
Njani left and you have him on the right, he's an improvement on what we have going forward. And if we lack strikers, at least we have better delivery to the striker.
I agree.
Yeah, because
Doucouré, I mean, I
no,
watched that
because-
game back.
because
Doucouré.
But sometimes people's addition to the game is more than just that. If you were to just purely go on stats, look at Idrissa Gana Gueye, but he has been pivotal to Everton's, play at times. When he has a good, the games when he has a good game, we normally end up winning, or we don't lose as bad because you know what I mean.
That Doucouré, if you watch that game back, although he did score, he seems to start the games really well, really motivated. But there was one where he got to the byline, he should have pulled it back for a tap in. There was another where he shot in
Hang
the
on,
wrong.
which game are you talking about? Because
The last match against Leicester.
Spurs or Leicester, so 4-0 isn't enough.
Doucouré is the one player that I think you can massively improve upon in that position. If you get, I think that's why we've got
yes, you could.
Alcaraz.
No. You could, in theory, have a better technical ability, have someone with maybe more pace, somebody who's more refined or a bit more patient or
Better decision
composed.
making in the final third.
Yes. But what I will say he does add is a certain wild card element that not many players in the squad add. I can't put my finger on it, but I do think that Doucouré adds a certain wild card element. There's a wildness to his play that Onana has, but he hasn't learned to use it to his advantage. I wouldn't say Doucouré has been utilised fully to his advantage because he was better at Watford. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think with
the see what I mean.
I think with Doucouré, his thing is, me and Chris were talking about it before, is that we can see how painfully bad he is on the ball sometimes, but he does come up with them big moments. Whether it's because he's purely instinctive and he just gets there maybe when other people are losing their head, I'm not too sure. But he's scored some big goals for us. I think he really needs to start being phased out the team and probably won't be playing for us next season. I don't think he should get a contract. But at the moment, especially while we're still light, he can do a job, but I think he should be held more for late on in the game when teams are tiring and his energy is going to be important at that point then, when he's a bit more unpredictable. So I think if we get Alcaraz in, Alcaraz can take that position. That means we can drop Doucouré back, and then it's another body to have to bring on later on, whether it's in central midfield or whether it's further up the pitch behind the striker.
I mean, let's not forget, if Moyes is not averse to having players switch roles or positions or flip, so it may well be that you might start seeing certain things. Like we saw Garner deployed on the right, and he has a versatility, even though it's not his natural position. So it might well be that when needed, Garner's shifted out to the right to support the defensiveness of Young, or at least that's what I'm thinking would be an option in my back pocket. That if you've got Patterson or Young can be supported by the composure of Garner, because I'm sorry, Garner adds a touch of class to whatever team he plays in my mind. But
just
But then you've got a right side, by the way, of O'Brien and James Garner, both out of position, doing a job. Not the worst thing, but not That's kind of what we're having. There's a lot of out of position to get him in the squad.
Okay, forgive me then. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a dick here when I say this, but so sorry. What is the preferable the preferable choice in this situation?
Between him and Lindstrom, then you go. Oh. There are times when I've seen Garner out wide and he gets lost in and struggles to cover, gets confused in where he should be compared to the middle. I have noticed that from time to time. But his delivery when he goes from center out wide, he's had some cracking crosses that have led to goals.
But that doesn't mean that he has to play as a right midfielder. Your players will naturally overlap. So Lindstrom will want to drift inwards to that attacking midfield role because he's as much an attacking midfielder as he's a wide player. So, and then at that point, Garner, who will probably drop back a little bit, he drops out wide because this is what happens in football. Players actually play fluid when they're not just stood in the same spot. And then if he finds himself out wide, he's a bit deeper, he will play that deep ball in. So, and at that point, you've already dragged players away, and that's what it's all about. It's all about movement off the ball is what creates the chances for teams. And if Lindstrom moves in, maybe creates that bit of space out wide, Garner can go out there, but doesn't mean he should be playing as a right midfielder. He can do a job there, but the lad's a central midfielder.
Can I just? It's completely pointless, but there's nothing else to talk about. But do you know who I think it's a shame that we got rid of, and I think would have potentially shone? No, who would have shone under Moyes given the opportunity? Obviously, circumstances and injury. No, Andre Gomez.
Oh yeah, he would have done excellent.
You disagree?
I know, I agree. I've thought the sun has set on his time, and I'm just settled that he's gone. So I didn't even think of him.
All right, then.
There are players across Europe in weaker leagues than us that we've witnessed. Remember when we watched the World Cup or the Euros in the summer, and you think you'd easily get in this Everton team, and we're frightened to look further than the M6 for our scouting. I'm actually surprised we've gone and
because we can't even afford the relocation bonus for the fucking players when they sign.
Tom Fellows is like, "Oh mate, you need to give me another 50 quid for the bus."
Just a few comments here. Just because my partner's not very well, I'm gonna jump off the stream because I'm inevitably going to be up in the night doing baby shift, but I'm going to revert to listening. Just these comments from Rich before I go, I think they're quite interesting about Brozier. I would have pulled the plug on Brozier. I think what I was told was Everton were interested in signing Evan Ferguson. Seamus Coleman had personally asked Evan Ferguson to join Everton, but the links with Graham Potter, former Brighton manager and now West Ham manager, convincing him to join West Ham. What was I going to say? Evan Ferguson, and they just wanted a straight loan, but we would have had to send Brozier back and give them 2 million quid. So that would have been, off the cards. Off the cards completely.
I think Duggan makes a good point, though, that he knew how to play under Potter. So why wouldn't he stay local, relatively, in Brighton to London? Maybe just as a commute. And knows how to play under the manager straight up. Like, it makes sense.
So that was the one. And Taiwo Onyango was another that apparently were offered at Forest. His agent was trying to push for a move. He's firmly down the pecking order behind Chris Wood, who, ironically, talking about Nottingham Forest, every single one of those Nottingham Forest front four, Everton have been linked with in the past sort of 2-3 years. It was Gibbs White. We've infamously made a £40 million bid for him. Which turned out to be a load of rubbish. But then we fought for Elanga hard from Man United. We were really, really keen on Anthony Elanga, and I think that was deadline day last year on the January, and he chose Forest, and we were all shocked. And
does anybody ever know? Was it just purely rumours, or was there anything behind the quiet talk that Wilfred Zaha almost joined Everton?
I'm going to leave you to discuss that. That's changed the topic, so I'm off.
Well, I think Ryan was just upset that his microphone wasn't getting enough respect.
I can't hear it back. It should sound fine. It's the same settings as the other day, but I have to take all this this mic stand and stuff to work, and it's if I've not set it up correctly, I apologize.
Well,
is it all crackly again?
No,
No,
you're
I've
good.
got no issue.
I should fucking hope not. Cost me 450 quid.
I think
Well, Ryan,
Peter's
if you
just
need-
yanking chains.
Gonna go.
Sorry, Sean's just made a point about Armstrong. Oh, right. I'll be honest, letting Armstrong go is baffling, given he's been a regular bench sitter. Agreed he was never a starter, but an option considering how this window's gone. Like, I agree. So I'm trying to make sense then, Sean, of, why then would you send him out on loan? Maybe it's because they're hoping to quickly integrate him into the squad, and maybe he's not. Oh no, don't go for the wide one. There we go.
I was trying to fix it.
So the reason for it, Jan, obviously, because the lad's on the bench and he's only getting 10, 20 minutes here and there. And I think Moises probably trusted him even less. So if you've got Alcaraz in who's going to play that behind the striker kind of role, which maybe he wanted to play Armstrong in, so you're not risking him further back where his mistakes are going to be more punished. So with Alcaraz there, he's going to take up that place, which means Armstrong's going to get even less time, which he's not got any under Moyes so far. So what you do is you send him out on loan, so he actually gets first team minutes, because that's what the lad need. Because at the moment, because he's kept on the bench, if you're on the bench, what that also means is you can't play for the under-18s, you can't play for the under-21s, because you're traveling or you're training
With the
on the
squad.
day that you're meant to be playing for the academy team. So he'd be getting. We've had an issue with this in the past where we keep young players on the bench, don't play them, keep them on the bench in case we need them, and they don't play for the academy team either, so they regress. So him going out on loan is probably a good thing, to be honest. For me personally, it's just a case of the club that he's gone to.
Do you remember, just out of curiosity, go back about 2 years? I went to this game. It was terrible. Or maybe I missed this one, actually. It was the 14th of January. Horrible game. And we lost it 2-1 to Southampton.
Which one was that?
2 years ago, we played Southampton at home and we lost 2-1.
That was misery.
Yes, I do remember.
And that was that cold night.
Was it March,
No,
April time?
It was January. It was 2 years ago, right?
Gary Mina was getting chased. Anthony Gordon was getting chased after the match.
Charlie
The free kick
Alcaraz.
from-
Charlie Alcaraz made his debut for Southampton in that game.
All
another
I
little
know is he scored
coincidence.
that goal against Arsenal.
Sorry?
All I remember is he scored that goal against Arsenal where was it Ramsdale kicks it straight to him and he just put it right past him, and I think that just ended their title hopes.
The only exciting news, it's going down to the wire. We can't pull anything off competently. He's been here for 4 days. And you wonder, will he move? Yes, he will. Just stop talking about it.
Flamengo literally confirmed that this was happening on, was it Friday?
But they also said it was premature, though.
Yeah. I mean,
Didn't they?
look, it's not out the realms of possibility. I would fully expect or wouldn't be surprised for the Brazilian team to completely jump the gun, because South American football is mad anyway. But Alcaraz also said his goodbyes. And if that is the case, there's clearly intent for us to buy him. So how has it took us 3-4 days?
Am I not the only one who has a childhood here remembering watching those like football videos with Nick Hancock and things like that, the football compilation ones? It was like Nick Hancock's football nightmares, and it was compilations of clips, but he had all these different things, and one of them was South American football, and it was fucking brutal. I'm sorry, I don't care if I'm swearing, because compared to this, and you had like games where the referees and the players of the losing team, they'd have to run from their own fans to avoid getting kidnapped and put into vans, and you'd see them climbing over these chain link fences and literally running for their lives, because there were incidences sometimes when the players would get like disappeared. Oh.
It's like I said, South American football is mad. There's always something. There's always something going on there, isn't it? So it would not surprise me at all if they completely jumped the gun. But it's 3-4 days. How hard is it to get a fella in on a flight from Brazil to Manchester? Get him down private plane.
If you want someone from Brazil, I can tell you someone a lot closer. He's just inside the M25 and he desperately wants to come
Richarlison.
Do you know what? When I seen that Spurs were getting that Matthias Tell, I would have loved then for them to then say, well, yeah, for the price that we've paid for Tell for the initial loan, you can have Richarlison for these 6 months, so then they'll have bedding kind of thing. But there's a pipe dream, and it's the romantic in me, because he would have done brilliant under Moyes as well.
Would you?
And the
like
window
an
is
update?
closed,
I was
ladies
hoping
and gentlemen.
The window is closed, so I was hoping there'd be a last-minute thing. But apparently,
did he have an allergic reaction to the blue biro?
There's going to be, yes, and there's going to have to be an extension. So it just like Armando Broja and possibly Marouane Fellaini, there's possibly going to be an extension. So we might not even get him.
Well, I mean, 11 o'clock is you've got to have the deal sheet. You've got to, is it 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock you've got to, as long as the deal sheet's thrown in by 11. I can't see any reason why our deal sheet wouldn't be in if there was that much intent come Friday.
Route has gone down, mate. Route has gone down. Couldn't email it over. Sorry.
Is this another Danjuma situation?
What was that?
Is this another Danjuma situation where he just swerved us at the last second?
I mean,
yeah. So another just came through. Nico Gonzalez to Manchester City, the Spaniard.
Why?
Is it 50 million?
I'm reacting to the chat. I don't know. Don't rub
Why?
it. Oh, because they are profitable and sustainable as long as they pay their lawyers. Is that where you're going with it?
I could go many different directions. I don't understand. I really don't understand. You know what it is? It's like a supermarket. They are Tesco's, and everyone else is just a chain of little corner shops, right? The clubs like that, and then what the Tesco's will do is, rather than they don't even want to be a business there, but rather than let a competitor potentially get a good store, they'll just plonk a Metro there that doesn't make any money just on principle to maintain fucking market dominance, because they're a bunch of...
Yeah. Well, Jan, if you really want to go there, you know what this is? It is the
Viva la Revolution podcast. Follow me into
follow Gandalf as he basically charges across the French countryside, and no one. Yeah, no. But I was thinking, the Bournemouth logo looks a lot like the coffee shop, doesn't it? In Starbucks, the little Medusa.
Eh? I don't drink coffee, so I've not got a Scooby Doo. What you mean?
Okay, you've never seen the Starbucks logo.
I know it's like green and white.
It's a mermaid.
It's basically a mermaid or a Medusa. Yeah.
A
Gorgon, yeah.
A Gorgon.
Yo, Greek mythology is my thing. So if anyone wants to turn this into a Greek mythology podcast, if anyone's got any Greek mythology questions, feel free to throw them my way. I'll see if I can answer it for you.
And I think Ryan very enthusiastically wanted to be engaged here. So only Everton could potentially run out of time to register a player. They apparently signed days ago after he said bye to his family, and he's came back to England. And what? Did he have an allergic reaction to the biro? That's all I'm going to say.
Just for a second.
That would be so fitting, but it'll be an Everton-only brand.
I'd like to be serious, right, for a second. For anyone watching, or any, this is not directed at City fans. One of my closest friends, a person I've known a very long time, is a City fan, and he doesn't like how City seem to have operated and bought their way to success in this kind of way. Now, and it's nothing against this, but it seems ridiculous that City can spend 175 million in the January transfer window when a recent valuation, Ipswich Football Club as an entire business is worth about 250 million. I'm sorry, but you can say, oh, aren't they doing well to punch above their weight? No, because there's no realistic chance that Ipswich are going to qualify for Europe and get the lucrative TV money. Okay, they can overextend, and if Forest weren't achieving what they were, they'd have been...
The thing is, in the past 18 months...
You need payday loan stuff like Nottingham Forest, and you have to take the risk, and they lucked out.
In the past 18 months, City have sold Alcaraz for like 40 million, for like 70, 80 million. They sold Cole Palmer for 40 million. It would have been pure profit. So what City do, and this is where they get a premium, is they're going to play like I Azerbaijani lad that they just got in. They'll pay 30, 40 million for him, and they pay over the odds. But what'll happen is, in about 4 or 5 years, or even 6, 7 years, they'll shift him out and they'll double the money on him. And they've just got.
How do you know?
It's like Football Manager. They've just literally, they're buying players either around or just above market value. They get them in. He played a couple of years for City. They look brilliant because who doesn't look good in this City
But
team?
what? No, but here's the thing.
For mega money.
But here's the thing, right? You guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar with how to explain when people don't kind of understand why are we selling this youngster and not this and all that. All right, do you understand about book value, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that the value of a player is then spread over the length of his contract, which is why it becomes so worthwhile from a PSR point of view to sell the youngsters, because it's pure profit and allows you the room then to bring in a first teamer, which effectively long term cripples clubs because it's giving them a fraudulent way. It's trickle down economics in practice because it's giving them a fraudulent way to claim, oh look, you can operate within these financial constraints, but you can't, because when players come through and they get inflated values because of the you can see where I'm going with this, and if people can't, maybe I'm just going to be preaching to the right. I don't know. It's just frustrating.
Well, we'll actually have a late night show tomorrow. Began talks about trickle down economics, and
look, it's not as bad as it's not as bad as a band practice recently, where I came out with, in all seriousness, I came out with the phrase, "Well, that's the thing with tubular topography."
You're going to teach them about
you don't want to hear my dad jokes when it comes to geology. I'll just leave them alone.
Anyway.
And Rich Jackson is bringing up a very poignant question. Where is the Arteta money?
Didn't that get spent on renovations to the Blood Brothers set?
I don't know. Look, basically, I have heard, look, it was long a rumor, so I'm not repeating anything that's not often known about about season ticket money on the day being like collected frantically and transferred to be used as leverage for loans and stuff like that. It's just, it's a miracle that we've survived the way we have done it. And to be fair, when you look back, right, the one thing that David Moyes did is he managed to drag the club back to where we were in the 80s and slid down from gradually because of a decline of the exodus of players, of a European ban, of the monopolization of the footballing league by the big clubs that were in the dominance at the start of the Premier League with the early 90s. So what Moyes did is he was one of the people that was fundamental in that through his astute and very, very shrewd purchasing of players. So I don't know. Sorry, I'll go off on one otherwise.
Are we making Everton mid-table again?
I don't aspire for
mediocrity. Memta. Gentlemen, I'm going to have to go. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope it gets easier for you. I don't know how long you're going to be doing it for. I think we should finally hear back in the next, 52 minutes, whether the Alcaraz deal has made it through or not. But I'm going to have to go. I'm in work in the morning, so I'll bid you all farewell. Everyone following, thank you very much for joining us. Quite a few of us tonight. We really, really appreciate it, especially when there's not been much to go off. So thank you very much, lads. Thank you very much. And fingers crossed it's nice and easy for you. Up the Toffees.
Up the Toffees.
See you later.
See you again. Ryan's very enthusiastic.
I have no idea what to make. I have no idea what to make of this because I'm looking at the Sky Sports transfer page thing that kind of gets updated and it just says Tyler Onyango.
Actually, there's a couple more that have gone out, but I'll just
No, I'm just
do a recap. Okay, yeah. So I'll quickly recap who we have moved on in this window because what we didn't talk about a whole lot actually were the other players that have been moved off, and we're talking about James Vaughan on the youth side. So Onyango, we've recalled him, so he's a signing. We were looking at him at the beginning.
No, but I was wondering why he wasn't given a chance in the first place.
Yeah, well, it seemed that there was a lot of midfield options at the beginning, and he did terrible in his centre-back role. And they moved, according to the heat maps for how he played under Stockport, he was a right fullback, which was really strange. So, not sure what's going on there, but he's back. Charlie Whittaker was loaned out to Notts County. Stanley Mills had his permanent move away from Everton to Oxford United. That was a little while ago. Bradley Moonen going to, is that Prescott Cables? That sounds like a utility company, but anyway, that's not. And then Harrison Armstrong out to Derby.
Prescott Cables, that's just up the road. Prescott, it's like that's. Yeah.
I mean, I know Prescott is just north. It's like on the way up to Preston and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
that way.
So I don't know what it made. I don't imagine this person, if that's the team he's gone to, being, vying for stealing a first team spot off anyone.
No. Maybe it's for the under 14s.
Look, okay, so we do have a lot of people watching, right? And I don't mean to teach
Mm-hmm.
teach grandma how to suck eggs or whatever it is. But can we have a look at the transfer dealings of the teams below us?
Yes, I will scroll up and. So, shall we go to Wolverhampton first?
I mean, yes, because I really'd rather not. Nobody wants to end any. Just for the sake of a joke, I do apologise to anybody from Wolverhampton or just the town of Wolverhampton in general. But yes, nobody really wants to go to Wolverhampton first. But let's go.
So, this is probably not updated fully. I know you'd probably have to wait an entire hour for this to get further updated. But yeah, they got in one player from Emmanuel Agbadu from Stade de Reims, and then they moved on from Luke Kundal out to Millwall, so down to the Championship, and then loaned out Tawanda Chiriwa. My pronunciation's probably not excellent, Jan, so you can correct me if I've got one wrong.
Trust me, if I could, I would. Yeah, no.
James Ward-Prowse is coming back to Nottingham Forest. Maxwell Cornet is being loaned out to Genoa, as he's not really gotten much game time. Ferguson was the main one there. All right. So we've done Wolves and West Ham. Shall we go to Leicester next?
I mean, yes.
Or do we look at
we
our
may as well go
relegation
to
rivals
Coventry
in
at this
Tottenham
rate,
Hotspur?
and not for. We may as well go to Coventry and not for Gallorca. Sorry, that's a terrible. Does that cross the translation? Sending somebody to Coventry? No.
It doesn't translate to me, but that might be me.
It's like ostracized, sending them out. Never mind.
So David B is asking, was it announced? No, it was Fabrizio Romano and Alan Meyer saying it's close to happening, but it hasn't. All I'm seeing on Twitter now is basically videos of car crashes associated with Alcaraz and Everton. So that's all I've seen.
It's wait. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, it's the Winds of Winter fiasco. It's coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, the only difference is we haven't made 4 books and a sideshow.
I think we put on a pretty good fucking sideshow for the last few years. Thank you very much.
I mean, you know what? We're the Everton sideshow because we're providing more content than the official Everton FC right now. So
they're too busy. To be fair, everyone at the club must be like literally fucking hemorrhaging jobs and tasks and stressing because of the season tickets.
Yeah, and you know what's probably also going to happen? The Friedkin group, because this wasn't pulled off, they're going to come in raging that they couldn't get their professional poop in a group, let's say. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens if someone gets sacked tomorrow. But yeah, while you're browsing, I'm just going to talk through some of the different clubs and what they're up to. Southampton are always quite busy. So in this case, they've loaned out Will Armitage and Ronnie Edwards. They've brought in Wellington.
Why
from
couldn't
Sao
we
Paulo.
sign Willian? Did you guys talk about Willian earlier?
No, not yet. We'll get. Willian was up for grabs as well, which is let's see. Cornet was recalled by West Ham. What else we got? I was trying to. Bazunu moved out to Standard Liège. He was starting for them this year. So moving on Bazunu, it just seems like they're probably giving up trying to score goals. But
just to jump in with this, if it has fallen through. By the way, there's always going to be scaremongers and people like naysayers and just people stirring the pot and for clicks and all this kind of stuff. So I've not seen anything necessarily official. But if it has fallen through, I'd be inclined to think he's just done it out of spite to go, fuck you.
You took this long? I'm tired. It's midnight.
No, not that. I mean, Thelwell might have just gone, oh, I forgot to put the paper through. I don't know.
But honestly, I forget the exact. There's so many like subtle details to this. As long as a certain thing was signed before a particular time in the day, it'll happen. And it's probably they knew it was over, but the media group for Everton, and this is one your bread and butter, Jan, complaining about our communications department. But the Everton could have said something by now, even if it's about to happen.
Several people have said this. By the way, VIP member Becky has said we failed to improve where our rivals had, and yeah, did our rivals improve? Chloe's just said there, like the picture of Coleman. Have we?
I've seen that as well. We did our own for Adam Romano. Was talking about Adrian Trufa, and he never came through. But it's all been about Alcaraz, and it's did he get over the line? We're waiting for official announcements because here we go, man. He's getting a little tiresome as well.
I mean, the thing is, though, a lot of the time, transfers these days, like with this Charlie Alcaraz thing, there seems to be an element of football, as I think, was it Blue Nose Dublin or Peter, or maybe a lot of people agree anyway, somebody said it earlier, that it's all manipulation orchestrated by agents and dealings. You know, where do you want to go? Where's going to inflate your value? Where are you going to get first team? What's the best deal you can get? Who's going to throw this in there? And it's not really about, you know, the agents want what's best for the players as long as it's best for the agents. They'll never, you know what I mean?
They want what's best for the agents want what's best for the player. The player doesn't want what's best for the agent. Yeah.
No. The agent wants what's best for the player as long as it's as best for the agent.
Yeah, they better get their bread buttered or no one's in it. No one's involved. Right?
Yeah. I'm joking, by the way. By the way, Peter, when I said Thelwell sabotaging a transfer, I'm just saying it's just so Everton that, you know. But I mean, it makes you wonder. I mean, I've heard.
Well, maybe they had a printer jam, Jan, because they couldn't afford a new printer because it was there for 70 years, or the fax machine failed at the wrong moment.
We got rid of what do you call it? Contract Dave. Yeah, but there's the very sort of Raiola mentality, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's all very strange.
Let's have a look. What was interesting to me actually was what was going to happen with Newcastle, because we knew that they had some PSR questions, so they held on to a few. The only one that stood out to me was they moved on Lloyd Kelly and Miguel Almiron. Everyone else, I don't really know. Yeah. Well, he all of a sudden couldn't score, and he basically became Newcastle's Jesper Lindstrom, it seemed. But he was a quality starting player, and interesting that Atalanta.
So what do you mean by that? Jesper Lindstrom, he became. What's the inference there? Okay. Because he's grown into his role a little bit.
Okay, where I'm saying is a lot of excellent like attacking running, but is he scoring the goals when the opportunities come up? Because I found that Lindstrom has done a whole lot without that moment of his name is officially on a scoring statistic.
He's
right
not
now,
delivered the dangerous ball. He's not split the apart,
or he hasn't knocked it in the back of the net and struck well. Almiron is very much like that. He knows exactly where he needs to be on the pitch. Plays quite well in that system, just wasn't scoring the goals. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, Almiron in the past was,
I mean,
yeah,
it's yeah,
misses too many chances, according to Barry Manilow himself. So let's have I'll work through some other squads. So United, the main thing that I knew from them is they moved on from Marcus Rashford. They've brought in
Rashford going to Villa is, to me, it's surprising. Like,
yeah,
can you explain to me in your own words what then is going on at United?
That Marcus Rashford is part of the problem, and they're just trying to move him on.
Why is he part of the problem, though?
If he's been there for a while and results haven't happened, how many other figures that are long serving at the club are still there? And if he's been part of this period of underperformance,
you just keep getting rid of players that are arguably quite good and shipping them on and spending loads of money
but he hasn't been doing good this year. He had a great period a couple years ago, but and he scored against us because we find a way to make people look good when they've had struggles. Occasionally, some players strike well for us. Marcus Rashford got a brace against us, didn't he? But like one of them was like a deflect that they own goal one from that was not really his goal, but he claimed it against Branthwaite. But he hasn't had a great season.
Well, sorry, no, I'm not knocking the guy. Blue Stew just said that apparently
I see that.
Maybe Rashford has got personal problems. It's nothing disparaging against the guy himself. It just surprises me then that Everton did not go and sign, go out and then sign Rashford, a player with like personal problems or ongoing things, or climb aboard the rickety raft at Everton. We'll offer you sanctuary as we all sink lower into the waves.
So this hasn't updated fully on the Premier League website or the FPL website, but Kyle Walker did move out to Milan. So we kind of knew that he was leaving leaving for pastures not UK based on interviews there. So that was, I think, is interesting. Issa Kabore moved on, and then they've got a few transfers. River Plate, so that was in Brazil. You've got someone from the French league, Abdou Kodir. Kuzanov, Victor Reyes, Juma Bar got loaned out. So, and then of course Omar Mamouche was and Nico Gonzalez did make the update here.
Seriously, that's a lot of dealings. But then again, I suppose they've got a bloody massive squad, haven't they?
And youth development in America they'll call it farm system. They're like from like age whatever all the way through, but the youth development for them and Chelsea is quite up there. For the other side of
pass,
Liverpool,
move on, don't care.
Leicester,
sorry. Koulibaly might be a good. Is he the good no? Which Koulibaly is that? Sorry,
no, that was the one that couldn't run anymore, and Ellis Sims ran past him 2 seasons ago, wasn't it?
So Leicester have got rid of the promising striker Tom Cannon that we were lamented getting rid of because we saw him
and he went to Sheffield.
Promise, but he's gone back to Sheffield United. So maybe they want him. Leicester haven't got him. But look, Leicester have got nobody really in, and they've got rid of people. They're going to struggle.
Yep, I can't see them staying up, but I don't want to. I said it, didn't I? So Ipswich, this one. They've been quite busy in the market. Doesn't always mean good or for bad.
God, he's gone down the road. He's gone from Norwich to Ipswich.
Who are we talking about?
Ben Godfrey.
Oh, Ben Godfrey. Yeah, he's moving about. You know what? He's going to score against us, isn't he?
I don't know how well you get UK geography, right? But it's rather hilarious to me that he's gone from Norwich to Ipswich via.
Well, he's basically gone to a relegation.
You've got to get quite lost to go via the M50, to get via Liverpool.
But Ipswich and Norwich do not are bitter rivals too, aren't they? That's a very strange move.
Yes, it is.
Let's move us up here so we can see it a little better. And I will clear some space there. Oh, that didn't fit. We'll keep the subscriber ticker going along. So really, it's Julio Enciso is kind of interesting. So they brought him in from Brighton, and outside of that,
Hamdi's gone.
So Enciso is a surplus to need at Brighton and Hove Albion.
Boniface. I don't know how you pronounce it. Boniface.
Boniface. Sounds good when you put an Aussie twang to it. It just sounds more formal coming out of there. I said Aussie, mate.
Right. It's beard for say.
Beard for say, damn it. Fulham have had a relatively quiet window. I think they're not I think that I remember hearing that they just don't have the finances for it. But they did convert William to William. William. Oh, yeah, jeez. To a permanent deal, didn't they? Or was that not Fulham?
Who?
Is it William or William?
They've re-signed him. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not coming through on here, but they basically.
But I think because he's a free
brought him
agent
back.
or something, I think it might be a different.
Yeah, he may not come through, but that was announced with here we go Fabrizio Romano that Fulham agreed to sign William on a free transfer back to the club as a verbal agreement is in place. There's time to proceed with formal steps as he's a free agent. Marco Silva gave the green light for the move, and that came an hour ago from Mr. Romano. Everton, as we said, Onyango has been brought back. Charlie Whittaker out on loan. Stanley Mills a while ago.
Sorry, as we've covered the Everton one. Sorry to interrupt you there, Chris. I would just like to say that I've been furiously checking, and I'm seeing from several different sources, although I don't know if they're just quoting the same person because the website is giving my phone diseases because of all the adverts. But it appears that there's multiple sources that are confirming that Everton did submit a deal sheet, and it's a post-deadline finalization of a deal sheet that was submitted in time. Charlie Alcaraz. So yes, as people, whether it was intentional or not, but the whole thing of is it Occam's razor? No. If it talks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. It's the end product of intent or impact. It feels like it's going to be like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to sign any. Oh no, we're not going to sign anyone. Oh, we've got him, thank God. And then we're there going like, actually, what the hell? This is the biggest con job in history. You're there like with a cigarette butt while you've just had your phone and your watch and your wallet nicked off you.
Yeah. So basically. To Jan's point, when things get complicated, the easiest interpretation is likely the correct interpretation. That's the razor, the razor of Occam. One may say.
It's it all. Yes, I'm sorry. I was hoping that there would at least be some talk of a site of like a loan deal, some more. I wouldn't even care if it was wheelie dealy stuff, and we just got some young players, give them a chance. When I say young, I mean like 23, 24, or players like this, Charlie Alcaraz, someone from somewhere in Europe or a lower league. Just give them a fucking chance. Like I said in the last show, Chris, I do not think that they would have constantly had the Rolodex or emails going like, crap, we need these players. Who do you want out for 6 months that's good, that we're going to give some first like top tier training experience and stuff like this?
Well, wouldn't you expect the director of football to be on a WhatsApp group chat with like all the different like and it's like 50 different like directors of football just chatting, and then they're just like one of them doesn't shut up, and then you just have to mute the chat. Is that not the world of I guess they're professionals. They have to call each other still in the
to be fair though,
year of 2025.
How many players did Spurs sign? I know you're up to Palace, but
yeah, I was going to quickly talk about Rob Holding because he went
Chalobah's back at Palace. That might make a difference for them.
No, I know he's gone out. They recalled him to Chelsea and then didn't do anything with that move. So he's back at Chelsea.
Oh, sorry, I was confused. I don't understand. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So Green is into Crystal Palace. Red is out. So they've moved a lot of the youth players out for the remainder of the season, bringing in Romain Esse from Millwall, so a championship player up, but really a small, a lot of the youth players getting some time. You wanted to look at Spurs? Let's do that.
I mean, I just wondered, though, because they always had a reputation for signing everybody. Just sign them. No, maybe they didn't. They went through a period of that. But yeah,
It does not look overwhelming, does it?
Danso, Yang Min Hyuk,
from
Gangwon FC. I recognise, and Matthew Craig from Mansfield, Dane Scarlett from Oxford. I can't say I recognise any of those names really.
Yeah, or Antonin Kinski from Prague. Yeah, so not a big movement from Tottenham. If we go kind of club by club again, because I don't think we covered Spurs that much, but there wasn't too much to talk to actually. So the next one is Chelsea, because they should be one of the most active ones around, So They had
Why,
a couple
though?
loan recalls.
Aren't they meant to be hampered by PSR in their own way?
Well, they're hampered by PSR, but if we're talking not the corrupt dealings of Manchester City aside, Chelsea have an excellent youth development. So they have a lot of young players bringing in, and they can move a lot of them on for relatively cheap transfer fees, and they add up.
But isn't there? I don't want to say anything, and I don't want to claim that I'm just like stirring up. But genuinely, weren't there rumours that they were tapping up players rather young and using other means to sign them, which is all this off the book stuff of hotel and other things like that?
Oh, there's probably a justified conspiracy in there again. I just haven't spent too much time looking into it.
Yeah, all right, okay, never mind. Don't want to get the channel in legal trouble.
Well, bet you know what? If you have a conspiracy theory on the chat, we're not going to be in trouble from what you guys say on your opinions, and we can nod, confirm, deny of what you think on there as well, because there's a lot of, and Chelsea seem to find a way to manipulate money better than a lot of clubs.
Manipulate money. That's a very clever way of, they were accused and were definitely guilty of incorrect amortization and amortization and the
You're welcome.
Fudging the books. Fudging the books.
You cooked the books for breakfast?
It's madness. Look, that's the kind of thing that is absolutely not good accounting practice, and they got around it because there was like a loophole in the rules, but there wasn't really a loophole. There was a grey area. It's the difference between like tax avoidance and tax evasion and various things like that. But the issue is, if you then try to have rules that you implement in a very loose way, but then decide to be strict, never mind. We've read every fucking article going on this. Never mind.
Yeah. It just reminds me a lot of one of my favorite films of all time. We're not the front people. We're not the Judean people's front. We're the front people of Judea.
Yeah.
Brighton, let's go. Let's look at them, because you expect them to be busy, and that's part of their business model, is to buy a lot of players young on the cheap, move them, and they have a large inventory of.
Wait, who's that at the bottom? Boaty McBoatface.
Benicio Baker Boate.
I don't know. I'm just saying Boaty.
Dr. Beardface. Yeah, needs to go to bed soon. He needs a nap.
Yeah.
Thomas Wilson Brown. Yeah, so a lot of loans in and out. They moved on from Ruari, McConville.
Ruari.
Evan.
Ruari.
Irish
name.
Oh, Ruari.
Wait.
Ruari. Ruari. Okay. I've heard it pronounced Ruari. I just didn't know when it was spelt and when to capture that. Evan Ferguson, we know, went to West Ham. Valentin Barco, he had been loaned out for a while, and I think he's now just loaned out to Strasbourg instead. Let's see. And Ciso, we said, went to Ipswich.
They've got rid of Moda. Was he getting old or something?
I guess he went to Feyenoord, so he's in the Eredivisie now.
They've done a lot of wheeling dealing. It's interesting, though. Maybe we could talk about, because they've done all those wheelings and dealings. It's an insight of what might happen when we finally secure the services of Alan Stubbs.
You think so? A lot of wheeling and dealing, huh?
No, not Alan Stubbs. Was it David Weir? David Weir. Sorry. How dare I confuse two iconic tall English, Everton, Scottish? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, from the years before you were old enough to really put it all together, huh?
Well, I still haven't put it all together, mate.
Okay, I'll leave that for another day. Brentford.
They've got a lot of. They've got rid of a lot of players out on loan, haven't they?
Yeah, but that's not a surprise. And usually when I'm trying to capture like the theme of it, you see what clubs they were loaned to. So these are not players that would have been in the starting squad, because Cheltenham, Motherwell, Preston, Millwall, Exeter, Wigan, Crawley, Chesterfield, Colchester, and Birmingham. That's a lot of non-Premier League level English clubs. So really, you're saying it's a loan deal the same way Everton have sent out the likes of Armstrong or those that are less Premier League ready to give them time. The only ones that really stick out then are Michael Coyote to Fiorentina, and Marge Roslev with Wolfsburg. And then we have Bournemouth, who actually look quite busy as well.
They've got rid of Billing.
Yeah, I thought he would have done a really good job, but you know what? Everton got Tyler Onyango back. We only need one Afro.
Max Aarons has gone to. Oh no, wait, I might be confusing him. Oh wait, who's that Silcott Dewberry? He's gone back to Chelsea. No,
so that's going to be quite confusing. You've got Dewsbury Hall and you've got Dewberry in the same squad.
But there's another. I think there's another one as well. Anyway, I'm not. Yeah, I'm pointing out my inability to remember names, not mocking people's surnames.
Yeah. And Johnny Stottle got pulled and then sent back, but going to Aldershot, which I think they're non-league, right? The National League, so they're way down there. Yeah. So that's not really.
Lewis Brown going to Salisbury, reformed in the early, about 10 or 15 years ago due to financial blah blah. The Lily Whites. No, they're not the Lily Whites. The Whites. Something.
So, and Aston Villa, we kind of knew they might get busy because of the challenges they're having keeping up.
Look at this. It's so terrible to look at some names that were potentially linked, but it's just you look at it and go Everton everywhere. Lewis Dobbin,
Philogene.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think of all the things that has shocked me in this transfer window is right here again. John Duran out to Al Nassr. To me, that's such a shame, but I think it's for PSR and staying afloat.
I mean, potentially, because hang on. Where did we get Irabunum off? Villa.
Aston Villa, it was a swap deal between Dobbin and Irabunum.
Yeah. So it's strange that they're loaning out Lewis Dobbin, and I think we possibly got the much better deal out of the players there.
I feel that way, but a lot of people really like Dobbin, and he had a couple moments. That goal against Chelsea, it was Chelsea. That was a great moment for him. But
I know
that's a moment. It's not a season.
Yeah,
it's not a career.
I'm sorry. I would argue that there was a bigger moment justified in Ellis Sims and keeping him, but again, we can't talk about
the Koulibaly goal. So, TJ Mid's also noticing Diego Carlos being sold, who had an unlucky time. He did his ACL in the first couple of games for him. Yeah, he was.
Did he have Did he have his hair in braids? I can't remember. Diego Carlos.
No, he would. I think his head. He had very short hair, or if not bald, a lot of the time, almost like Kyle Walker short.
Oh no, he had it like cornrows, box braid type things. Yeah, no,
okay.
He did. Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Well, I suppose he was also surplus with the likes of Tyrone Mings being back.
Buendia's gone out.
He's having a good day at Bayern Leverkusen.
Sorry, I didn't.
That's interesting.
That.
So they're losing a lot of their. I mean, what sticks out to me is actually the bench depth for them. So they're losing Dobbin, losing Philogene, losing Diego Carlos, Andres Garcia, and Molan would be their replacements. And I guess they did get what's his name again? Marcus Rashford, which is further down on this list. So we're only at J on the list. So John Duran, we mentioned Marcus Rashford coming in from United, Samuel Ilin Jr. Gone out. So loans. The one that I think a little bit more interesting is when you see international transfers being brought in from PSG. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Okay.
And
let's go up to the only possible team that might challenge. Nobody. They've signed nobody. Didn't actually wait. Didn't they have some agreement? Isn't there somebody signing for Arsenal?
I can let me look online and see what Twitter is. Oh, sorry, X. I don't want Elon Musk to get mad at me. So I don't see anything on the Arsenal webpage, but I'm sure we'll find out if anything does come through.
Yeah. I think at this point, well, I don't know. Do we call it a 9?
Yeah, I call it an early morning success. I'm awake. I did a show. It wasn't a successful Everton transfer window, though, was it?
No, I mean, sorry. Let me add a little bit of circumspection. Or
Did Yan just cut out? Apologies there. We'll see if we can bring him right back. That was really strange. All I did was I removed the ticker, and then you disappeared with the ticker as if you were the advertisement.
My mistake.
Yan, provide me some perspective, please.
I will. I mean, basically, the circumspection is the wariness of not wanting to claim that we've done. I don't want to say we've done good business, but if we signed this lad on a loan thingy and it's a deal that's not too expensive, I can't remember what the figure was, but if he signs some goals and he demonstrates he's capable, was it 12, 13, something?
Yeah, I'll bring that up quickly since I did actually.
Right.
I came prepared with my pretty little slide. How about that? And he hands his hand up saying, no transfer. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much the price is, but basically, right, I'm happy for that. But we needed some bodies. We haven't got more, But then again, do you really blame? I don't blame Moyes, and I think the players might have it in them. Hopefully, if we don't get more injuries, and if we consider that you've got an inordinately high number of injuries, the odds statistics say they should be returning and coming back. So don't spend money and only do where necessary. And you never know. It could be a case that we might see another loan deal if agreed by the morning because it's just all quiet and the clubs want it through and it was sent through. You never know. But I'm not gonna criticize it because no business is better than bad business.
Yeah,
considering the situation we're in financially.
We've been so burnt with winning transfer windows, and now we celebrate inaction just because we got burnt before. And there's actually a middle ground. Squad depth is short. We've been talking about it for a while. I don't know what the official number was other than rumors and speculation that we had 33 million to use, but very, very unlikely by the fact that we didn't spend more than 15 million on Tom Fellows earlier in the transfer window. So really, we don't have a whole lot. We're playing it safe, cards close to the chest financially. You don't want to say you're desperate and running out of finances because otherwise there'll be a fire sale. So they can't say where they're at and people can't get hard measurable numbers. And we're just trying to speculate because we don't know.
But here's the thing as well. Yeah. Here's the thing, right? One thing that adds a little bit of balance to it. Think of it this way. What would happen if we decided to go out? Well, I'll tell you what would happen. If we went out and decided to spend whatever we had available within the wiggle room of PSR to just spend it and buy a body because we need a body, okay, fair enough. But what then happens is we have players out of contract that have lost, we lose value that we then have to replace. And we're already hamstrung by the rolling window of having spent. Although we have that ability to spend that in this transfer window, it's going to affect moving forward. And do you really want to then have a player on the books with wages and a position who wasn't really an ideal signing in the first place? And then you could, realizing that you need to offload and maybe shuffle and change, you've got other clubs who are going to take the piss or wind us out or let players run their contracts down or offer us peanuts and pennies, Yeah.
And I think we're forgetting Beto is actually who did we get Beto from? Someone in the chat's going to help us.
Sampdoria.
Don't we owe them 30 million euros?
Interesting point.
So components like that of, you know what, let's just eat now, pay the bill later. Maybe this is one of those results.
Sorry, Udinese. Where the hell did I get Sampdoria from?
So the fact that Beto was, we got him on a free transfer at the time, but there was a deferred payment. That deferred payment must be getting close to due, right? So, and yes, happy for Beto scoring, David. But at the same time, if we're talking how it impacts the finances right now, there was an obligation to it almost felt like a loan with the obligation to buy, except it was a free transfer with obligation to pay the transfer fee the next season, which would be due at the end of this season. So maybe that's when you hear this 33 million of possible expenditure is actually tied up in the better money.
I mean, we have done, when you think about it though, okay, we've not always been a lucky club, but sometimes we've done very good on tight budgets. And Moyes was good for this. Was Moyes the manager when Landon Donovan came in like the summer for half a season?
So.
Yeah,
that brought so many American fans over. It probably got Chad involved.
Yeah, I mean, we got Landon Donovan with that. The way that the deal was worked with Delafeu, okay, it wasn't great, but we got a good deal for him. I mean, we had
and we loaned Lukaku the same way for a bit until we got him permanent.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. It's just, but then again, maybe it's just looking through rose-tinted glasses at those glorious nostalgia days where it was just,
yeah, make us mid-table again is my.
It wasn't even mid-table. It was, you know what? It was somewhere between like 58 and 62 points, and it'd be like, are we going to get into Europe?
Yeah, we're dabbling in fifth again. Yes, those seasons.
Yes, it's like driving on the motorway at night when you can see far enough ahead to spot whether there's any police hidden in the little laybys. Dabbling with fifth again. Yeah. So, awful.
But the more I think about it, the Beto money, and if someone remembers, and evening to Mark Sperry as well.
Wait, no. Let's not make this a thing. We've had the Arteta money, then the Beto money. Is this like becoming the Everton phonetic alphabet?
No. But this is actually part. This is, and the Carlos money.
Oh God! Yes,
the Carlo money.
The Charlie money. What have you done with the fucking Charlie money?
So. I know it's comical, but this is actually
I promise.
This isn't even a conspiracy, and this is actually all about. And to Mark, and for those that are coming on late, we haven't officially signed. He did his medical, and we were waiting for confirmation. From everything we hear, it is some paperwork being signed, but he's kind of across the dotted line. But it's not to the point that they want to announce publicly that they are happy that he's part of the club, but he's there, and it seems like it's a scramble to get him across the line. But he may well be officially announced here shortly. But yeah, the better point, exactly how much we owe Udinese and when.
Charlie Alcaraz.
That will really impact things.
We do. I don't. Again, there's no sources here, but I'm seeing it on reputable websites like TNT and Give Me Sport, which is, well, I wouldn't go that far, but they're often, you'd think that they wouldn't be like some account or word of mouth or a friend in the know.
No Football Insider for you. Okay.
Yeah, Charlie Alcaraz will still sign for Everton, it seems, with the deal sheet submitted before 11 p.m, as said before, allowing the clubs to thrash out the finer details or final details. So I'm guessing then it will be based on various things, because if the players come and the deal's done, you need to agree the finer details, which is okay, well, he's lived in Southampton and whatnot, but he's never been up here. Are we going to give him some, you know what I mean, all these little things that they sort out behind the scenes.
Yeah, he wanted to have a personal tour around the Wirral, check out his new accommodations.
Okay. I've got you a nice flat on Corpy Road. Sorry, I believe that'll be lost on you, Chris.
It probably will, but the premise of a street reference, I think, does just fine. And for those that are trying to keep up with quite an uneventful window for us. Earlier on in the evening, we actually had a £15 million offer for winger Tom Fellows that was declined or rejected. It was very late on. A little bit insulting, honestly, 15 million for someone that's trying to get them up and promoted. You're not getting him for 15 mil. It has to be for more than that, because getting to the Premier League is worth more than 15 million for them. So that was never going to happen, and kind of a slap in the face to West Brom, in my opinion. So that didn't happen, and there was
Where
some
are they in the
conversation.
championship?
Let me quickly look, because I
Sorry.
thought they were quite competitive.
Forgive me, I don't mean to drop you in it because I know they're doing okay, or
They are sixth and in the what do you call it, the playoff picture,
playoff zone. Yeah.
and yeah, they're 44 points, so we're in the playoff zone, but right there.
Who's the manager at Burnley now? Is it still Vincent Kompany?
No, he left to like Lever. No, who did he got moved on in the summer. Let me find the Burnley manager quickly for you.
Because we could see
Scott Parker.
Wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be very funny?
Scott Parker.
It's not beyond the realm of possibility that the same. Who was it who got relegated last year? Was it Leeds, Sheffield, and Burnley? No,
I mean to the champion, out of the championship. Birmingham went down, but you mean?
Sorry,
oh
no. I can't remember who got relegated last year.
Luton.
Yes,
Luton.
that was it. Never mind. Sorry. And Luton are in free fall. I mistook it for a couple of years ago, and I just thought, wouldn't it be funny if this? But I'm talking out my ass, so forget it.
Yeah. And the other one that had come up, but it seemed really poorly established. Of the Daily Mail had one-line comments of links. The other one that had been coming up was the French fullback from Stade Rennais, Adrien Truffert, who had one cap for France and has been meant to be quite attacking, but Mikalenko has been doing well. Now didn't seem like the time to bring him in, and he would have taken up the loan spot.
It would be a waste
No,
of money.
it would have taken up the loan spot that we were going to move to Alcaraz on. So it was either one or the other. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. Any more
No.
news? No.
I don't think so. It's you know what? News will happen tomorrow. That's how news works.
I'm so grateful.
You sleep and new things happen. Yeah.
Because look at this. I have to say, I'm so grateful. They're watching for you, Chris, because they're probably just watching me for my hilariously pointless rants about how annoyed I get.
And they're watching PowerPoint.
15. I know. It's you know what? It's just people being conditioned working from home, and it's like, here, let me screen share, and everyone's just like, oh, must sit there. 1,500 people watching. Really appreciate it. It's just everyone is so desperate for a signing, or maybe looking for confirmation. Maybe we're still the only crazy bastards still going after the window's closed for some sort of glimmer of hope.
The rare moment that me being international benefits you guys, because usually I have to get up at 1 a.m. or like it's 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. is the match, and then I have to do coverage and I'm asleep. Now I can be the awake one. It's 8 a.m. in the morning in Australia. So I could maybe do a live reaction for you crazy fools that want to get up at 4 a.m. to hear what I have to say.
It's a good job we don't do Super Bowl coverage.
Well, it's the wrong sport anyway. No helmets allowed.
Oh, there's plenty of helmets in American football.
I was saying in the other football, the one we are talking about, sir.
I could never mind. I'm getting tired.
Yeah. So yeah, there's going to be a lot. I think sometime this week, what I'd like to do is look at the current squad of Everton once Alcaraz is confirmed or not, and we have a buy, sell, keep, extend.
What is shag, marry, kill, snog thing?
Well, we're not talking like a Big Brother like quiz.
Big Brother? Are you on about Big Brother? The sort of the people who are
the
meant
old
to be
show
famous
where you watch people hanging out in a room trying to be famous and having the. That was huge, and it was never really interesting to me.
I watched the first season, okay, but having said that, well, let's not get people thinking about like scrutinizing watching other people discussing things, because we could put ourselves in the firing line there.
We're kind of doing that ourselves, so
yeah. But yeah, so besides Alcaraz, Onyango recalled, and Harrison,
and an extension to Idrissa Gana Gueye.
Oh,
that doesn't really come up, but he's going to be. I think, I'm not sure if it's one more season but I think
it was it was either a year or yeah.
I mean, why would you give him a 6-month deal? Then he leaves a month into the season or something.
You know what? Sorry. You know what I mean. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was a year
for next season, he'll be. Him and Seamus Coleman and David Moyes will be on wheelchairs and canes as part of the starting 11.
Ashley Young is doing cartwheels.
Yeah, I was forgetting Ashley Young. So you'll have a starting 11 of Ashley Young, Adrissa Gay, and Seamus Coleman next season to open up the Bramley Moordock Stadium.
Tarkowski's not exactly.
Yeah, I was thinking about but then you start opening the slippery slope of 28's too old. So you're like, what number do you use?
Excuse me.
In football, I'm 34.
Yeah, I know. Look, there's still somebody on the Everton pitch older than me. That's all right.
Yeah, that would have been kind of fun to see Ashley Young play against his son.
Yeah, I know. But having said that, I do understand where you come. Sentimentality. Well, having said that, they still anyway, not my place, is it?
Just do it.
But look, just do it. Do you know what was lovely though at the match against Leicester? It was really lovely to see the crowd constantly shouting, and I love this song. All Together Now by The Farm. They were singing that, but it was so funny at times. It was just you could hear various pockets in the crowd going easy, easy. You know that song, the Everton version of
you have to sing it for us.
No, it's no, I'm not. I'm not going to sing anything at this time of night.
You'll wake up your neighbors, or the dog will start barking at you, and you're like, sorry.
Oh yeah.
The one that I did remember seeing like through the social media grapevine, some of the Leicester fans were saying, "Oh, it's unfair. He's too big for like Jake O'Brien and the center half. We had too many center halves, and they were saying it's unfair advantage having so many big men, and we can't score against you or something." I saw that there was a 10-second short from the Leicester fans at the game, and I thought that was quite funny.
I don't think so, because look, how I discuss as a pundit is not how I'd be in person, and how I articulate my thoughts on camera is not how I do it in person or in the group chat or anything like that. This is to stir debate, and obviously when you do that in a public way and you're maybe scrutinizing somebody for their professional choices, when it's something that's so in the public eye, it gets a bit personal. But I don't know why. I'm not gonna get involved in anything that's nothing to do with me, mate. Anyway.
Yeah. And I think a lot of, when it comes to, and I'm very careful on how I want to criticize all of these decisions, because I don't know what Thelwell has available to him. And as we know, if you say we don't have any money publicly, now everyone is going to take your players, and then you're told you shouldn't have said anything. So now he says nothing because that's better, actually.
Yes, that's what I said. No news is better than bad news. And as I said before, quite rightly, yes, I'll criticize this and that and talk about what the potentials are and induce and deduce and all these kind of things. But the point being, it may well be that actually he's brought these players in. Dyche couldn't get a tune out of them. I mean, as evidenced by just look at what's happened, because you don't necessarily know who's to blame. It could be that Thelwell wasn't the right man for the job to get the players that Dyche needed to implement Dyche's system, and there was just no cohesion. And it was because it's been constant panic because Thelwell came in at a completely different time. You know what I mean? It's just. This is what I said, though, about a lack of direction, a lack of board or leadership or clear direction. So there's been no continuity, so that it's just been putting out fires. So that's, to me, no surprise. Whether it's impossible to say whether any, like I said, okay, Dyche didn't get the job done, but he kept us up. But that's why I'm saying, even if we got a better manager and if we don't start fixing things, which is why, in some strange way, well, not in some strange way, it clearly makes sense that Moyes has steadied the ship. He's got a reputation. He does things the right way. He's about respect and he knows that fairness.
If there is an Everton way, Moyes knows how to execute the Everton way.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Everton way of the 80s, but the Everton way that we all know.
But there are people at the club.
With internet. Yes.
But there are people at the club. There are people at Finch Farm. There are people who every day, it all trickles down. Work environments, don't they? Right? It all trickles down. Now, when you have somebody that's leading by example in that way, where, it wasn't, oh God, who was that Coman, when we had him and he had the bus stops and players couldn't eat before him and they had to wait for him to come in before they could touch their food in the dining hall and all this kind of nonsense. Like, no, that's not that's authoritarian repression. But when you have Moyes going in saying, look, if you're late or you don't do this, there's a fine here and you have to do that. Like, that shows a rule of law, and it's different from Lampard having Mondays off. Sorry, I could snowball, but it shows you that.
But he could have had Mondays off and had a really aggressive fine system as well. Because some people say, you know what, you don't stay late, you don't come early, but when you work, you work. You know,
well, what message does it set? What message does it set when I've heard from all accounts, and it does add up, because what message does it set that we had Mondays off in training because Lampard and Ashley Cole would go back down to London to their families after the football?
Well,
now
it
I can
isn't about the
understand
professionalism. They weren't physically committed. And that's the statement.
Okay.
They didn't commit their life there.
Okay, I have to say, Chris, if you do not know, I'm assuming you do. If you do not know, we have a guest who's just come up with a comment here. I always have time to read Mr. Stevenson's. Yes, he said Everton had a lot of players lined up. So this is exactly what I said. There's got to be reasons, or like we've been hampered financially. Now, like as I said, you've got to think, as I talked about, that there had to have been phone calls or Rolodexes or players, but Moyes said no. Now, the style and calibre of player he wants is different. So different from what Dyche brought in, different from maybe what Thelwell has identified, or maybe Thelwell was given a different brief and he goes out and gets the kind of players and hopes that they fit in because he'd had different managers and he's trying to, because he wrote that book. So he's trying to bring in his philosophy. But anyway, Moyes has said no. So the style and calibre of player he wants is different, aiming higher. As he said in the press release, the presser
and
before,
that's good.
sorry, before the Leicester game. So it's quality over quantity. He rejected deals but cannot compete higher.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. Charles, thank you for that input. I won't ask you where your source came from, but at the same time, I agree with a lot of this, and I've been chatting with Adam about how Moyes or how the football hiring process works based on for those that work in bigger companies, or some of the smaller ones could be different. Where I worked before, you have a human resources department, right? And it's a little bit tricky here. You don't have an open job posting for.
But it's the same as a sales pipeline, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So now you have Kevin Thelwell. Instead of being an open job posting, is going to be scouting and bringing a pool of players that he thinks fit. Then they need to be interviewed by Moyes to say, do they fit the culture that he wants within that pool of candidates? And the answer is no, no, no. Oh, he said no, no, no. He said
but
no.
Also, it doesn't work.
And
in
now
our
you're
favor.
kind of stuck.
It doesn't work in our favor though, because the kind of players that would come here, I'm saying there's going to be an overlap in the bell curve of players that would come here in our situation, considering the situation, and then players who would want a quick payday or wouldn't be in it for the graft, or what I mean. There's a bit of an over, because it takes a certain quality and caliber of player to step into this situation, into an unknown, into very dangerous territory where, although it's unlikely, there is still the possibility that the club could get,
It could. What I think is more surprising is we didn't see something like the Everton deal with Udinese for Beto actually happening again, knowing we're about to get past PSR and we have the stadium next year. So profits go up. You feel like we could have done another deal like that if a club was open to it, but maybe people are so strapped, and it wouldn't shock me because Everton are in the same thing. Nah, mate, we need your money now, not the other way around. So these kind of deals don't happen very often, or it's for a player that they're willing to move on. But Everton can afford to pay out clubs if they're willing to hold on for a season, and we could have gotten someone like that caliber of player, maybe.
I mean, also, I have to think that sometimes, do you think that maybe we overreached with some signings recently, like Onana, that then bit us on the ass? Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
weren't.
Did it truly bite us in the ass? I don't think it does. It says we were able to capture a player that, and he.
But what I'm saying is,
and everyone gained from it.
No, it did. They did. But what I'm saying is, look at it from the the context that you're talking about is that
Player's
we had a play.
perspective?
No. We brought a player in to do a job or to fit into the culture. Seemingly he did, but then he maybe was a bit mercenary and fucked off, or didn't stay for the long haul and angled for a move. Yes, we made money, but what we did is we shipped other players out on the principle that this player was going to be here for a few years, and he didn't. And now we're left with that vacuum in centre midfield that we've been discussing today. Do you see what I'm getting at there?
Yeah. Well, then what you need is a pipeline of players in the reserves that are just dying for someone to. Oh, that's way too literal. Dying for someone to get injured.
Dead man's boots.
And waiting for his opportunity, because not all opportunities are good. Sometimes, for a lot of people.
Sorry, when you've got to say Charlie Brown, when
work.
you're talking about the 50 million for Onana compared to what we pay and the length of contract, we actually on the books made more money selling like a youth player for 10 million than, or something like that, 10, 14 million. I can't remember who it was we sold at the time, than we do for Onana. Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is I'm just saying there's the whole combination of awkward things that have happened. And you're making this point here, it's valid, but I just maybe want to make sure that maybe I've not made it clear to everyone that there's a whole cluster of things that I'm not talking from a financial point of view or sacrificing. And it's the fact that if you're talking about players coming in now, that you were talking about, how many are going to come and stay and do the hard work and
and commit to the project instead of be here for 6 months, move on, and everyone wins. Because what you want, ideally, and you're seeing that with a few clubs. Brighton are doing that. You're starting to see that with Bournemouth too, where they're learning out a bunch of players, giving them experience, but they're on the books for a while. So you have resources to pull, if the likes of an Onana are to, let's say, be at Bournemouth or Brighton, they decide they want to go to pastures greener. And you know what? Fantastic. One of those loan players was dying to start. We're going to recall him. Didn't cost that much to us, maybe 2 million for the recall fee. And now he starts. Not a loss. That's the next question for us. How do we build a youth system that has that internally to fill those voids? That's really where it needs to come from. Because when Aston Villa and Newcastle are throwing money at things and then they seem hamstrung. Man City and Chelsea have we know about their reputation for finance, but at the same time they have the youth to make their profits back. It's not. A lot of questions doesn't make it. Are they actually above board? But they have a youth system to make finances.
Yes, the youth system to make finance, and it ties into Charlie's follow-up question. But we bought him with that profit. Yes, it may be that money. You might say, okay, we've got this in, we can spend that. But from an accounting and PSR and transactional point of view, it's about the value that. I'm sure you might. You know this. I don't want to talk be condescending, but when we've got, like, for instance, any player that's not had a transfer fee, or for instance, when a player there's no transfer fee, or he signs a contract extension, or and the contract length has run out and you signed him, basically he's not necessarily an asset on the books. He's zero value. And the contract length, when you then sell him, it's then spread over the length of whatever contract he signed, minus the transfer. Anyway, this is why it's all this daft stuff that it might seem weird to us as well, that we've put some shenanigans for PSR, but it's exactly the whole kind of principle writ large with every club, and why it's just a whole joke. But this isn't the PSR show. It fucking could be, because that's the reason why we've got nothing else to talk about.
But in a way, we are probably in a slightly different spot, and that's why I really wanted to look at Aston Villa and Newcastle, because they didn't bring in many players, but they moved, and Aston Villa in particular, moving on from Duran. Yes, maybe he wanted full-time starting position and Watkins was blocking him. Maybe.
But they've had some European
But he wouldn't
football,
go to Al Nassr.
They get European football, and they make a lot more in hospitality than we do. Both of those teams.
Mm-hmm. Well, but sorry, trying to compete in Europe with a squad of players that are basically better than half of the Everton starting lineup, you need 20 odd starting players at that rate that compete and perform better than Everton in every facet.
We've barely,
and that's very expensive.
Barely got 11. Hang on. At times we've barely got. How many is it on the bench that we've got? Like 2 keepers now at times.
Yeah, You know when you have those sets of jeans, it's starting to become see-through, but you're like, I'll survive one more paycheck and buy a new pair of denim. That's a little bit like the threadbare we're talking about for Everton, isn't it?
You said paycheck. I was thinking birthday. Right, okay, fine, different.
Oh no, or it's when you get your tax return and you're like, yes.
If you pay tax. No, it's
I feel like I need a nice anecdote to finish because we do have what's it?
A nice anecdote. Right,
Or
if anybody watching,
do you
in
have
the
a quote
comments,
ready to go again to close?
No. If anyone, okay, actually, I will tell you a very interesting anecdote. It's a weird thing about. I'm a fourth generation season ticket holder, and I can't for the life of me remember. There was an iconic player in years gone by who could have played in the 30s or the 50s, something like that, or the 40s. Someone maybe with like Ted Seeger or something, someone like that. And when he retired, it was. His trade or his craft, maybe even before he was a footballer or on the side when they weren't making lots of money, he was a carpenter, and he actually went into making coffins. And I can't remember who it was. Quite a famous, prominent Everton player from yonks ago, decades ago, lifetimes ago, and he made a coffin for my granddad's dog. But funnily enough, my great granddad, at one point, Peter Jordan, I believe, was when did he own the?
Peter Jordan.
Peter Johnson, sorry, Peter Jordan. Fucking hell. I'm confusing it because I was just looking about there. Anyway, no, back in the day, many years ago, my great granddad took my granddad and Peter Johnson. At the time, it was to Peter Johnson's very first Everton game. As a young boy with my granddad. There you go. Little piece of weird history.
Yeah. And, but when you talk about people's club, family club, that's very integrated, isn't it? You can bring someone to a game or to a match. They're taken by it. And you know what? Adam and I were moved and changed by being here in 2007. We just didn't have the finance to buy a club.
Well,
a little bit different.
He died a year ago, didn't he?
We're going back to morbidity. That era. Ken
Sorry.
Wright. No, I'm just thinking like they have. Yeah, it's been with Ken Wright going as well. It's the old guard is just, and then Mick Lyons I've been talking a lot about because he was the coach for me at school, and see now he's starting to struggle as well. And
what?
Mick Lyons.
You what? What?
Mick Lyons.
Yes, I know.
In Perth.
Yes.
In my high school, my final year, he was our coach. But so he was doing a lot of coaching out here in Perth, Australia. Yeah,
yes, because I mean, there's all these wonderful things though. That's
weird little nuggets of the community. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, like people talk about. I mean, Ronnie Goodless, who does so much for charity, like walks through Europe and goes to. Anyway, we could talk all day.
Yeah,
about it.
But it's more just there's little nuggets of these players from the past that kind of build your relationship to Everton. That over time, and in your case, it's even closer with your family. They're now a documented piece of the past. It's not active, and you're not sure how to sit with it in the same way, you know.
Well, we were kind of hoping for something concrete, yes.
And instead we're talking about death and the past and our football careers that failed. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's lovely, Peter.
So what we haven't talked about, Jan, and it is kind of, we're talking about turning over a new stone, let's say. The Everton way. We are putting the first bricks are being laid for the fans in the last couple of weeks. So I think that's also just there are little things that are just positive right now. More we were waiting for 2 seasons just to get the bricks laid. So that's happening. Yeah. And now with we're feeling the Moyes love again. We're winning matches comfortably at home. The spirit of the Blues, you can hear it on the TV. They can't mute us anymore. It's just, and yeah, go if you want to talk to Peter's point a little bit more. You feel free to.
Oh no,
do
it's
that.
okay.
Sorry.
No, not at all. No, I just I don't know. We're all suffering ADHD or sleep deprivation. It's still waiting for confirmation that we signed Alcaraz, and at this rate,
I keep just refreshing Twitter and looking away from the screen, and nothing's happening. No, here he goes. Romano's gone to sleep. I wonder what he needs to be on to stay alert this late at night, this often.
Anyway, speaking of
Caffeine.
Charlie, has the deal done yet?
I have heard nothing, unfortunately. Is he a striker?
No, he's a midfield. He's a bit of a box to box.
Can sit in the number 10.
He's quite he's quite incisive. And he's
we'll go back to him again. So and this is over this season, but he's shown coverage all over the pitch, but is quite comfortable in that left central midfield position, and will be maybe not in the 18-yard box, but will be all over the pitch. Eric Brunham, but not Eric Brunham. Toucher.
Yeah.
He scored against us, didn't he?
At
Southampton.
No,
he didn't.
He might have done. No, he didn't.
On that 2-1 loss.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Oh, I don't know. It was his
It's
debut.
been a while.
Yeah. I mean, have we made a signing? That's the thing. Look, it's going to go through. I just want it to be.
But did he sign? Yeah.
It's fine.
And Rod, if you've found if there's been an announcement we can talk to, I can bring it up. But I've been trying to find an official source to talk to. But it seems like it's gone through. But it hasn't. Saying deal done if it isn't from a reputable journalist or from the club itself is just a attention merchant at some point, so you just sit there and patiently wait.
I thought the most, maybe it's just only hilarious to me, but Evertonians waking up in the morning. Everton are delighted for a return. Sorry, for last season at Goodison Park. Everton Football Club are delighted to welcome back Antolin Alcaraz.
So by the way, it has actually come up. By the way, so I can't show the video, but they on Twitter, Everton on their official website 2 minutes ago, have released the Charlie Alcaraz promo video. So he's wearing his blue short sleeve Castore shirt. They're doing some drone coverage of Goodison, showing the Gladys Street. They'd basically been prepping the promo of this, what looks like, for a while, because it's actually a very well edited video. So it is official now. He is here. I just don't want to get us taken off for what do you call it? Copyright by showing the video, but that is announced.
But there is a video done by World of Football HD. But 3 days ago, that's 8 minutes 17 long, which I'm sure if there's anybody out there, can we post links without fear of getting? Yeah, it's because look, okay, World of Football HD. Thank you very much for posting this video. And he posted this 3 days ago. We've all been waiting for it, but I will put up in the comments.
Well, Peter, the reason they had to stay up so late is because the video editing took 3 hours for the release.
They're using Clipchamp.
We have to be careful to look after again. We just don't want him to have another fit.
Another fit. Yeah. It wasn't a fit.
he'll-
I'm just a bad fit.
And according to the video as well, the promo, he's going to be wearing number 24, wearing Amadou Onana's Aston Villa number.
South America. Tim Howard.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah, Tim Howard was from the Gulf of America.
Oh,
Yeah. So I think other than we can continue on, but it's been,
He was
a
from
bit of a
South
marathon
Canada.
again.
he was from
It's
South
Trump
Canada.
from South Canada or North Mexico. But if we're going to go into Trump chat, I feel like it's a different show for a different purpose.
Let's not.
And we have signed Carlos Alcaraz. We're in number 24. The video came out maybe about 4 minutes ago now on the on Everton's Twitter. So we have one new player. It's Alcaraz. We knew it a while ago.
Argentinians
punditry-
may do okay in the UK, but let's just hope. We are due a blinder because Funes Mori didn't get like a fair crack and he was a bit injured. We've had Segundo Castillo. Who else have we had from South America? Straculersi.
Deo Lefeu was not Argentinian, was he? Well,
No,
he
he was
would be-
Spanish.
Was he Spanish? Yeah.
Yeah, came through the Barcelona academy. Segundo Castillo, Funes Mori, Straculersi, Joe.
Joe. He wasn't Brazilian, Joe. He was Argentinian. I thought he was. No, anyway.
Hmm?
Oh,
it was
for
Joao
some
or
reason, I thought
something
Joe
like
was
that.
Brazilian, but
Yeah. Oh no, maybe no. I was just saying South Americans. Yeah, Richarlison
right.
was great, but then we'd not kept him long enough and had to get rid of him for
Yerry Mina, Colombian,
Um,
wasn't he?
I suppose it's different. I suppose you are right. Although they're South American, there's almost this subconscious thing to no, he's not necessarily South American. He's Brazilian, as if it's different. As in, like, no, he's not European. He's English. And it's like, oh yeah, because yeah.
But when it comes,
Yerry Mina.
when you have big countries that sort of dominate a continent, you have it's one country and then everyone else that fits up the kind of encompassing nations to build up that, So
What, Mike?
yes,
So are you making some sort of parallel or allegorical statement there?
was thinking of doing so. Yeah,
Okay.
trying to say maybe, and I'm not from South America, so clearly can't go there. But
No,
you say in the world of
Wait, hang
football, Brazil and
you're
Argentina
from West New
control
Zealand.
everything. I am from West New Zealand. I'm from Old Zealand.
Sorry. Oh God, yeah. Thank you. This is why I do it, because I love people in the comments reminding me of old players that we've had. James Rodriguez, Enna Valencia. Christ, yes.
Yeah,
Bernard.
James for sure.
Oh, Bernard. He was so quaint. He reminded me of, like, if it was possible to even have a miniature version of, like, a Latin American miniature version of Michael J. Fox. I don't know. I've chatted absolute shit.
Well, that's what happens when you're talking for 2 hours and 42 minutes, and you're basically hearing about links to one player, and he's finally here.
Oh, yay. It's like, it's like the Dasani water flavors, isn't it? Like, was once wafted near a strawberry.
I'm not even sure how to respond to that. Wafted near a strawberry.
Oviedo, yes, he's Costa Rican, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting close. It's Central
Broken
American,
leg.
but
Yeah.
we haven't had anyone from like Venezuela, none from Chile, none from Peru.
Oh, yes, and sorry, can you would you name me the mixed Venezuelan, Peruvian, Chilean top 11 in the Premier League, please? If you're gonna do it, fuck off. Don't.
Brian Oviedo, no.
I know. Do you know it was the weirdest thing? He had number 8. Number 8. And he was a left
What
back.
about number
wasn't
8?
he?
Oh,
We had
Oviedo
Brian
with number 8. Yeah.
Weird.
It's amazing how many. When I watched that documentary of Sunderland Till I Die, it just felt like I was watching the entire Everton squad that
Sorry, what?
left. So Brian,
Did it had Jack Rodwell, Victor Anicha, but no, it had who did it have?
James Vaughan,
John Ruddy, James Vaughan,
Gibson, Brian Oviedo,
Darren Gibson, Oviedo.
So basically, like 3 of their starting 11 when they got relegated from the Championship down were like Everton players, and then Moyes was the one that sank them. And you're like, what a wild Everton crossover that entire documentary actually felt like too. Just feeling the passion of these fans. Granted, it's a different club, of course, and the different history, but it just had this weird, like it just felt sickening that all these Everton players were involved in it. Oviedo was one of them. He was the starting left back at the time, I believe.
Yeah. See, look, I've got people. This is what I was doing. It rather than talk about players that we had, or focus on the fact that we haven't signed anyone. All the players that we have signed that didn't do good, but people are remembering them fondly. It's nice.
Rondon was
Solomon Rondon. Thank you. There's so many.
And then he went back to River Plate. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other. For Peter, got to meet Oviedo, which is really nice and sounds like a really friendly guy. So
I found some old pictures knocking around the other day. Like I was looking around, and there's me like going to some sort of event where I met Gareth Barry when he signed, and I'm there like, oh, and I met bloody Leighton Baines at the signing event when he signed, and he's there with his young lad, and he looks like he's just stepped out of the bloody Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
Yes. So is it official? Well, the deal sheet's been put in, but nobody can really say. But yes.
Well, Everton released
Club 11 minutes ago did announce the video. I didn't want to post the link to the Everton one because I'm assuming if you're watching us, you all know where to find Everton on Facebook, on YouTube. And
it's a well-produced original content that if we put up, we will probably lose.
Do you think they used the drone guy who's been doing the drone footage? One of the lads who's been doing the drone footage.
It looked like they did. Honestly, it was really nice coverage of the stadium. A little bit grainy, but that was kind of the look they were going for. It was like that analog, scratchy video, but also very clear.
You mean like the whole thing of if something's in Mexico or South America, it has to be done with like a yellow hazy filter?
Well, they did a little bit something like that at a Goodison. They actually had almost a scratchy camera look. It wasn't perfectly clear. It was almost like a very old analog look, but it was like polished. So I liked it. Mr. Drone. Is that the person's name?
Sorry?
Mr. Drone, is that the drone guy? Is that his title, Mr. Drone?
No.
Or Madam Drone?
Very, very unprofessional here. There's a really lovely bloke. I think he's someone 18. I don't know. You can find. He did all the drone updates, and there were several people that were doing them. But he's, but yeah, it might be Mr. Drone or it could be someone. But there's somebody that's been doing the updates on the stadium as it's been going, and Everton have used some stuff. And you know what? It would be really lovely to think if the club have actually gone out and got someone who's been doing this, and clearly
there's
someone
Mr. Drone UK. That's the title of this guy. Yeah,
cool.
And we are now nearly on hour 3. How are we pulling this off? And Jan, you're staying awake until what? Is it nearly 2 a.m.?
It's 12:30. It's midnight.
Oh, okay. So not crazy yet, but
no. But I mean,
I think it might be time before we get on too much on stream to close out. We were waiting until Alcaraz came on.
Everton have their own drone guy. Thank you for letting us know, James. But there is also Mr. Drone UK.
Yeah, and I'd have to go in and dig into if they actually referenced him in the content or not, or the credits. But...
I don't want to go naming names as well in case I'm unfairly favouring because there's been several people and people get very political over. Oh, it's not this guy doing this stuff; it's this other guy. And look, there are people doing stuff out for the love of it, and they've got some great footage out there. Go check it out.
And Charlie, yes, I'm in Perth, Australia.
Bound for South Australia.
Well, that's also a state.
Well, don't be an arse.
I think I'm not catching all of Jan's references, and I'm starting to struggle
Oh
to
no, sorry, it's
max
just
out.
a song. Look, are you telling me that Perth isn't considered South Australia?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
cool.
considered West Australia. It's about a 30-hour direct of continuous driving away from South Australia.
I mean, look, I'm not on about the state of South Australia. I'm on about just like, because back in the day, when it was all
okay.
just
It is
one
Southern
thing.
Australia.
Yeah.
And to Tezel's question, 8:30 in the morning over here.
Chris,
And
you were.
yeah,
Yannick.
so I was in Arizona for the better part of 6 years, and moved back to be closer to friends and family in Australia this year. So if you'd been watching, basically the first match of the season, I was leaving my house or moving house for the Brighton match, and ever since I've been moving countries on almost every on every single stream I did. I had that one show where I was in an alley, in not alleyway, in the corridor at a hotel in Florence, where the sensor light kept going off and on, and I had to move my shoulder just consistently enough to get content. And then you go, I'm doing a lot of weird shows in all sorts of places, and hotel rooms and green screens, and I'm moving into my our new house that we're renting in about a month, so you'll see probably a different studio than my green screen.
This is Chris's levels of dedication. I won't go into details because it spoils it. But for very loosely speaking, he was producing Everton content on his honeymoon. Is that fair to say?
My honeymoon was in 2022. So
No, but the recent.
the travels.
Oh come on!
Yeah,
I'm trying
okay.
to. Oh.
Okay, well, we had a once-in-a-lifetime trip when we had no work obligations. We were in Europe for the better part of 6 weeks. And yes, I did a lot of Everton content during that time.
Yes, Yannick Bolasie was French, by the way. He might have been eligible, but... Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you, Tuzzle. Played for Congo. So I don't... DR cover. So that'll be...
Africa?
Yeah, it might be... No, I'm saying eligibility for... Because there's sometimes that it might have been that... I don't know, what was his international... Yeah, he played for the Democratic Republic of Congo, but he might have had youth appearances for France then. You never know, because he played for... Oh, Christ, no, what the hell?
So
weird.
I will have to... I know we're on tangent here, but the worry about wildlife... I actually learned yesterday. I did a first aid course all yesterday, which is why I was too knackered to do an earlier show for you guys on this. Basically, almost no one dies from a snake bite anymore if you apply a compression bandage, and there's no venom, but it doesn't gum up your leg. And you think, yes, if you don't have a bandage, but like that's actually quite a unique thing, that you can be bit and it might be poisonous, but we actually have a control for it. Anyway, now I'm really pulling on my Aussie hat.
Yeah, or you could get on a boat or a plane and just go to the lovely islands next door where there is literally nothing. Where
the orcs are, and you can find Hobbiton and Rivendell.
Yeah, but where literally nothing can kill you, and it's so peaceful, right? The Kakapo. The Kakapo, the Tuatara. The Tuatara is it's the oldest extant they have pineal glands that's like a third eye on their head. They're fascinating things, and their closest living relatives are snakes and lizards, but nothing is closely related to them. They're living dinosaurs. Yeah. They're from New Zealand. Fascinating things. Fascinating.
So, James Graham's question. No, you don't. What you do is you apply a compression bandage directly on top of the snake bite point, and then you actually put a second bandage the entire way up the leg, and then you basically get taken to hospital where they monitor you and ensure that you do not move around and circulate additional blood flow. and then after about 3 days of being monitored, you're cleared and good to go.
Because isn't that the kind of stuff we're talking about? All the venoms and that, where they make your blood like turn to fucking jelly, and then like you're fucked.
I mean, I guess. Speaking of jellyfish over here, that's what really scares me. These little guys called irukandji.
Oh, over
In
there. I thought you were
Yeah.
like over here for a second. I was like, oh, we don't know what you want about. We've got nothing here. The most obnoxious, vile creature that you get is what? A drunk?
I mean, they are pretty vile. And they have a lot more weapons than a spider does at their disposal. I actually had to deal with a lot of these out in the bush a couple of weeks ago.
Drop bears?
These big golden orbs. Drop bears, yeah, they're fake.
Magpies?
Magpies are real. They swooped my brother as a kid. Oh, huntsman spider, absolutely. But I work outdoors quite often. In the work yard, we had some huntsman spiders after a rain. Quite big, but they actually kill the... they're really good at killing the other spiders, and they don't hurt us. So they're just gross and scary, but they're nice. I feel like this is going to be the...
What are those ones that are like plate web something, not funnel web?
Funnel web?
Those other ones. No, but they're like the huntsman, but they're just as big, but they tend to go into like houses rather than is it the huntsmen get birds as well, don't they?
Huntsman getting birds? That sounds shocking. I can't see that happening.
Or
just too big.
There's one. Oh no, is it the funnel web or something, or the one that hides in the ground that gets birds?
I mean, if you want to do a David Attenborough show with me one day, we'll have to call it follow the foxes after. I don't know. But yeah, unfortunately, unless we're going to talk about Leicester and the results we've had recently, I'm really kind of maxed out on transfer news because it really isn't a lot to get excited about. I hope Alcaraz does something. But in reality, he's played at Southampton, was struggling to cut it there. They got relegated. He went to Brazil, hasn't had a lot of game time.
Oh, boo boy.
But you can capture him, maybe, and Moyes knows how to use him. And that's why he said yes, because he fits the mold. Let's see how he goes. Probably kicked by a kangaroo. All right. And I think...
kicked by a... Oh, never mind. Pick a large bird, yeah.
Wedge-tailed eagle. And...
I meant
that
like
nugget of
cassowary or an emu or an ostrich.
Oh, the cassowaries are scary ones. Emus really scare me. They make a weird sound out of their ear. They don't really speak out of their mouth. It's like this weird bass pop. Makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know. It's like
yep.
Yeah, but it's like the Nicobar. I think it's a Victoria pigeon or a Nicobar crown pigeon that goes like ooh, that weird resonant noise.
Yeah, and actually before. Okay. I keep getting distracted with actual good comments here.
Yeah.
Tazul, reckon we can make a good FA Cup run this year? Actually, yes.
If we beat
100% yes. If we beat Bournemouth. And we can't beat Bournemouth. Moyes might. Dyche couldn't.
It will be an interesting, after the tumultuous up and downs that Bournemouth have had and the games that we played against them in the recent seasons, I think it will be an interesting game. Is it this weekend or next weekend?
Let me quickly look.
I know. I didn't get a ticket for this one. It's an FA Cup. Yeah, I didn't.
Neither did I.
Well, I've got my tickets.
We are hosting Bournemouth on the 8th of February, and it'll be a 3:00 kickoff.
Ooh.
I think
I've got my ticket sorted.
Cool.
For next year.
So have you got? Do you want people to be able to find you at the stadium, or leave that for another
Hell
day?
No.
He's on entrance 133, and he's on J7. There's a good chance that wasn't my correct guess. But yes, we're going to host Bournemouth on
the interesting thing is
next
the interesting thing is they're doing well. They've got a strong squad. they can't be seen to not be competitive, but do you think they might rest a few players to be consistent? Because who are they playing afterwards? Because if they're chasing like that, to looking to solidify their spot.
We'll quickly jump to that while we're having this conversation. So
they're
stop
playing
sharing
Wolves.
that screen.
Okay, no, after that they're playing Southampton, Wolves, Brighton, Spurs, Brentford. Okay, not a bad run, but they're going to want to sort of overtake Newcastle, aren't they?
So their next setup of fixtures, they have us, and then after that, no, this is going backwards. They've got us in the cup, then they have Southampton, and after that they have Wolves, Brighton, Spurs, Brentford. They actually have a good run coming up.
Yeah, that's
Brighton's
what I was saying.
Brighton's a bit of a bogey team, but they're not playing well. Wolves,
But it may well be the case.
Doing well.
I'm
Spurs are a pushover right now.
hoping. Of course, they're doing well, and they might see it themselves as wanting a cut run. But if they're looking to solidify, and a couple of people have said they've got a few injuries, it may well be the case that whether they realise it or not, they're not going to go in as competitive. Having said that, we might not be as competitive because although we want to win, and it's at Goodison, we might be more focused on the league. I don't know,
Well, yeah, because you've got to rest. I guess we're resting up for midweek against Liverpool, but honestly, this is a perfect time to just. It's at Goodison. There's not many of these left.
No,
right? This could be the last cup match at Goodison. Make it count. We struggle away at Bournemouth. We get results against Bournemouth. Okay, yes, we lost 3-2 this season, but we have gotten results. We won 3-0, 1-0 in the past. So it's not. This isn't a bogey fixture at Goodison. It isn't.
So on that note, it's been the video's hit the 3-hour mark. It's 20-1. I'm gonna have to go. We've got one signing and record one loan.
That's a great viewership for
phenomenal.
The 3 hours of content and one signing. So thank you for everyone being involved. As we've mentioned, you can follow us, or please do if you're not doing so already, on our YouTube channel. That's where we get a lot of the ad revenue to help push the channel forward. If you like us enough just to donate, there's options there as well. But really appreciate everyone following along. And until Saturday, when we probably have, or maybe even Thursday, Friday for the preview, we will be covering the Bournemouth match. And until then, up the Toffees.
Up the